This is Lobster De La Hoya, here to annoy ya. If you ever been to the Paramount Moore or Neptune Theaters in Seattle, Washington, you know just how special they are. I'm asking you to save your stages by donating at stgpresents.org/donate. This is Lobster De La Hoya, here to annoy ya. If you ever been to the Paramount Moore or Neptune Theaters in Seattle, Washington, you know just how special they are. I'm asking you to save your stages by donating at stgpresents.org/donate.
Oh, Another thing is the punk movement, like a lot of the movements talk about tying all this stuff together, happens with youth. And because it happens with youth, these kids grow up. And by the time they hit 30 years old, they don't want to be angry anymore for any number of reasons. And you can't be angry all of your life. You can't rebel against something all of your life. Otherwise, it's going to be self-destructive.
Hey everybody, I've got Geoff Redding and Dan Droz. My name is Steve Martin. This is Seattle Today.
Steve on the bass there.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's me on bass, Greg. What do you think? That's you on drums. Remember when we did that back in '86?
Hey, wait.
I don't remember it being in '86.
Well, while we have you here, who do we have? Ladies and gentlemen, we couldn't be happier to have the legendary, the infamous Mr. Greg Gilmore.
Just some guy.
Some dude who was leaning against the building out front. Yeah, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Excellent.
Real good.
Have you played in this building?
Yes. How many times I can remember? Twice.
Do you remember the very, very first one? The first time you ever played here?
Very, very first one.
Is this a test? Do you guys know something that I'm...
You'll find out when the electrocution happens.
Your chair will get all weird and you'll be like...
No, we're just wondering. We ask everybody.
I think the first one was MotherLoverBone, and it was sort of, I guess we were showcasing, which sounds weird to me because I have seen other showcases and thought that just looks like the most awful experience, and I don't ever want to have anything to do with a showcase. But
there you were.
But I think that is actually what we're doing. We set up here with and Nafasi was here with his PA, all of it, and it turned out to be pretty fun. He set it up all along the back, blowing out, toward the front of the house, but on this across the back of the stage, and it filled the back of the stage.
And then the band was downstage of the...
We set up facing it, so my back was backwards at the front of the stage, if I
You were facing this way.
recall. Yeah.
You're on camera, so they can see you. Thanks. So you're facing this way, and the drums.
Correct.
Huh.
It's funny as I recall this, I don't remember the experience of being behind the drums backwards at the front of the stage.
Right.
But I remember that the PA was across the back of the stage and we were facing it. That was the only way that could have worked.
Right.
And it was awesome.
Yeah. So you were in that PA.
We were, yes. Yeah.
Oh, and so this was a private showcase.
Just being blown out by our own hugeness.
And there's no one here. It's just and the A&R people are here?
No, they were back there.
With your backs to them.
Yeah. I have a nice looking back.
We've all heard that.
So it was like an industry gig type thing. There weren't tickets sold because...
Correct.
Okay, got it.
So go ahead.
I only remember probably Michael Goldstone came by, who we ended up working with at Polydor eventually, and must have been Tom Wally from Interscope.
Epic
Was he
Scope.
Was he No, I don't remember.
It's okay.
For sure at the time.
Yeah.
What I remember about Tom was I liked him, and we went out walking or somewhere around. We were down around the market maybe, and he offered to take us for an ice cream, which I like.
Nice. Awesome.
So I wanted to go with Tom Wally.
Sure.
But I was outvoted.
Yeah.
It was okay.
But there's like a dozen people in the
At most, you know, I was behind me, so I couldn't really see who was coming and going. But it's all I remember.
Interesting.
Were probably those two guys coming by.
Yeah. And
could have been more. But
what about the second time?
Oh,
what's one you remember like? With a house,
like a performer, like facing that way.
Yeah.
MotherLoverBone again opened for the. You ready for this? Cowboy Junkies. Imagine. We'll give you a moment.
I feel like.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like it was a little, you know, the energy level dropped after you guys were finished, probably.
It changed, for sure.
Yeah.
It was kind of a strange gig. I actually like those guys.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit. But I did, even myself, I thought, this is a little bit weird. Why are we here? I think how we got there was, it was like one of those, we're sort of wedged in by
management.
Yes, management, a label association.
It was an industry thing.
One of those.
Yeah.
That's how.
Like you were a late add-on to the show, and then.
But I don't remember there being anyone else.
Okay.
Just the two of you.
I think.
Yeah.
And another thing I remember about it was being surprised that the audience seemed, at least they weren't. They didn't demonstrate that they were disappointed or irritated.
You guys didn't get booed off the stage.
No. And I remember Andy telling some joke, which still in my mind was hilarious, but this would not be the first time I'm sure you guys are now going to, that I've said that much, you'll press me. Oh, well, what was the joke?
Tell us the joke. Tell us the joke.
What's the joke?
When I have previously tried to explain the situation, my memory of it is so vague. I only remember that it was really funny. Uh-huh. And in that, when I recall it now, to me, it's still real funny.
And that's the end of it.
That's the whole story. It's just, Andy had dropped into, he would do that from time to time, and you'd swear that he was such a natural at it. I'm pretty sure these were not things that he rehearsed. You know, it would just...
He was a joke guy.
It would just happen. Yeah, if that's what he wanted, he probably could have been a comedian.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was one of those things. He just dropped into this spontaneous thing about something about Willem Dafoe, and the punchline was something like, that guy's a good-looking motherfucker. That's all.
And did he get
I'm sorry,
arousing?
That's all I can retell of that.
How did the crowd respond?
I saw they kind of chuckled.
Okay,
they
you got a laugh. It wasn't like crickets.
No.
I was envisioning you were the only one laughing, and the crowd's like,
no,
junkies.
Yeah. No, as I recall, they were actually amused,
receptive.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well let's go back to the beginning, Greg.
Yeah,
like
not of today.
Whoa, that's all they came prepared for.
Right. We're done here, right? So where did you grow up? If you don't mind me asking.
Mostly Fox Island specifically, Gig Harbor loosely.
Yeah. And you landed there when you were little?
We moved out there at the end of third grade.
Third grade.
So that would make me 9 years old, I think.
Yeah, sure. Second is 7.
You agree with that? No,
Second
probably 9.
Second grade is 7.
7 to 8.
7 to 8, yeah.
8 to 9.
Yeah, perfect. And then you're there until you lived there until you moved to Seattle.
Yes.
Later on, 10 years later.
Yes.
Something like that.
Roughly. Yeah.
And so when do you first start playing drums?
At 12. You know, I might have got a snare drum at 11 and a drum set. It's not long after. I was 12. Yes. It was blue, sparkled Maxitone. It
Is
came,
this the?
yeah.
We had this
covenant-
conversation.
Yeah, we talked
Me
about
and
this.
Greg were talking
right,
yesterday.
right,
That's why
right.
we had the same.
knowing
Yeah. Maxitone.
came from Ted Brown Music at the Tacoma Mall. And I didn't tell you this part of the story. I'm gonna.
See,
I'm
that's why
going
we do
for
it. So you
I'm going
remember
for
more.
it. Sometime, I don't know. I have no idea. Weeks, certainly not months after. So I bought the drum set. I think I paid for half of it. My dad paid for the other half of it.
Nice.
Sometime weeks, I'll guess it was, after I saw a piece of mail come that it was somehow it caught my eye. So it must have come from, Ted Brown Music, or somehow I was aware of this. And then somehow I became loosely aware of the contents of this communique.
Was it addressed to you?
No, I think it was to my dad. As it turns out, there was something that happened in the transaction so that he ended up not being charged for his half. Or they made a mistake, there was an error.
Clerical error.
He hadn't paid, or he hadn't been asked. So it wasn't that he was delinquent on a payment.
Right.
And and maybe he was already aware and he had seen it, and we just shuffled out of the store.
Kind of brush that along.
So I don't know whatever happened. If he ever ended up having to pay for his half of the drum set, or if that was
Just
the end of it.
swept under the rug. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have those for a long time, and I did pull together the money with I don't know. I used to work for him, my dad, and I suppose whatever money I had, mostly that's where it came from. I bought a secondhand set of Ludwig drums that I wish I still had today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ones that got away.
Yeah. Well, the ones that I sold,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Did you sell those to buy another one, or did you have your?
No, I did. I sold those to buy a brand new, right off the showroom floor, set of Rogers, those black drums that I'm mostly known to play.
Do you still have that kit?
Until quite recently, I did. Duff McKagan is now the proud owner.
Is he?
Oh,
Yeah.
Duff bought it?
Oh,
Okay.
that's amazing. Well, that's good. I mean, if you're not going to have them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, it's weird letting go of something like that.
I'm sure.
Well, why did you? If we can get down into the minutia of drum.
Well, because I had two other kits that are not as old,
Yeah.
more modern technology. I think they sound better.
They sound better.
The hardware's easier to deal with.
Who needs 3 kits?
Yeah, so
Greg probably could use 3 kits.
My not real large basement just was accumulating
Yeah.
things unused. So,
Well, it's great that you know where they are, though.
Right.
yeah, it's still. Sometimes when I think about it, it's
You can borrow them.
yeah, for sure. If I could probably buy them back if I
Right.
wanted to. I don't imagine he actually has much use for them other than as a collector, sort of.
How did that come up? Like, were you like, you know what?
A
I need to thin
guy
the herd
who
a little
works
bit.
for him and it was Mike Musburger and Chris Friel somehow intervened, and they hooked this deal up.
Were you gonna sell them anyway?
I did. I was talking about it. I didn't know how to best get them. I didn't want to just sell them to some kid on Craigslist and have them disappear into oblivion.
Right. Maybe that person not understand what they were buying.
My girlfriend looked into a couple of museums that were interested, and I thought, what happens to things that they end up in a closet
somewhere. Yeah.
And so Musburger and Chris Friel had somehow kind of made this thing happen.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, good. It's nice that you know where they are.
Yeah, well, I don't know exactly where they are. Like, if I wanted to go bang on a door,
right.
I don't know which door.
They're in the general Seattle area.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Okay, and so, and you played in band, right? In like high school?
Yes.
Did you play in jazz band? Did we talk about that?
No, I did not.
Was there a jazz band at your high school?
Not really. Seems there kind of was something, but then I don't remember there actually being such a thing.
Yeah. So no, you didn't play kit in high school. Like
no.
You didn't play kit.
No, we would do that at the band sort of maybe it was a subset of the concert band formed a pep band that would play at sporting events, and there were a couple of other drummers that would be trading off of those duties there.
So there was a kit for that?
BYOK.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so somebody would bring it. Well, because I've seen pep bands. Like our high school, it was the marching gear. So it was like mounted snare.
This was more like a rock pep band.
Right. I was always jealous when will they get a drum kit at a basketball game? Yes, please.
Yeah. And as I'm remembering, one of their favorite moments of that would have been playing, say, Hawaii 5-0.
Sure. Yeah.
That's one that I remember.
The drum solo.
Yes. Yeah, which I was hit and miss on the drum solo. I've never been...
Sweet.
I play a wicked drum solo at home by myself.
But out in front, that's a lot of eyeballs.
Yeah. I've never really been very comfortable with that.
Yeah.
No Ian Pace.
No, John Bonham. How did that guy play for so long with his hands? Wasn't he? Didn't you think that was conspicuous?
I've tried that. It hurts pretty soon, yeah.
Hands only, no sticks.
Have to have a couple of these in you, apparently.
That could be, yeah.
Yeah.
That would help. But then that would give me other problems. I can't play like that.
Yeah. Not if it's important or you care about your performance.
Yes.
If you're young enough to not realize that people are supposed to enjoy themselves listening, you're fine. Yeah. Like frat parties. That's what frat parties are for.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, and so now do you have a band in high school?
Yes. Me and Alan Shomshak, the guitar player, who was kind of an important character in my early development, and Nick Huff playing bass. A little trio called Rocks Off.
Say it again.
Rocks Off.
Nothing cooler than the three-piece.
Spelled
power trio.
That was one word. I don't know what's going through your minds right now, but it also was going through the mind of
teenagers,
our junior high school principal who didn't want us to play.
Right.
But it was ROXSOF, one or two Fs. I don't remember that. Probably one.
Probably two Fs.
That was two.
Maybe one F.
Yes, a little more creative, right?
That's ballsy.
Yeah.
Because it could easily be mistaken for Rocks of.
Yeah, well, I guess that's what you're thinking.
I can see the principal try to introduce you guys at a pep assembly or something.
Yeah. He was not going for it, and we even pressed him. What's the matter with the name? Well, I think you know. Or if you don't know, then, something. You need to go back to school. Well, we're at school. I don't know. Anyway.
You just wanted to hear him say it.
Yes.
And now rocks off, all right? That's awesome. So are these guys older than you? Are they your age? Is Alan the important guy? Is he?
We
why is he
were
important?
all... Nick might have been a year or two behind us. I'm not sure now. But Al and I were in the same class. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was ahead of his age group. He was a deep music fan. Beatles, Red Rolling Stone. Was already collecting records, and he turned me on to record shopping. Maybe I was 14, must have been junior high.
Yeah.
And there was a little sort of, at the time, kind of a hippie store in the north end of, little shop in the north end of Tacoma, old downtown there. And
What's that place called?
Phantasmagoria. And among other incense and beads kind of stuff, they had a rack of used records. And there was a lot of, it wasn't crap. There was some really great stuff in there. And I found records that I bought there this is, if you remember that time when record shopping is brand new to you, it's just, it's unbelievably powerful moment. And the things I discovered there, buying records just based on the cover.
The covers.
For starters.
Yeah.
Some things there that to this day they're monumental to me, and I still listen to them.
The record, it feels more powerful only because, you're buying it, you find it, you're like, oh my God, I found this, and then it's like the sleeve, and there's the art, and maybe the lyrics, and on and on. And now the cassette and the CD does this as well, but you had this little, when you bought the record, you had the...
Doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah, so...
Much more art for your buck.
Yes, and for me, it was, it just... listening, just going home to my room and closing the door, and it's like where the wild things are, just transform the whole space. I was just somewhere else. Oh my God, that I've longed for that feeling today. It's
hard to get again.
Yeah.
So what are the so are your first records ones that you found, or did you what are your first records? What are the first, your podium of
a couple that, like I was talking about, mentioned some that that to this day I still love. Live Roxy Music record, Viva, from then, or a live King Crimson record, USA. Yikes!
And did you find those two at the record store?
Yes. Yeah. And I bought them by the cover.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Right.
I think the vinyl copy of Eno's Another Green World that I have today came from there.
Yeah.
I had no idea what that was.
40 years later. It's got the same one.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What's that name of the place again? That was...
Phantasmagoria.
The Phantasmagoria.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
God, there must be more. There's another Tangerine Dream live record that I still will pull out occasionally. Actually, that one I pull it up on the. Even though I believe I do even have the vinyl. From the comfort of my couch, it's easier to just
Bluetooth
pull it up and beam it to my stereo.
And didn't you say that your parents had a couple records that were pretty killer?
My parents were kind of, they were into music to a degree. My dad was a big Creedence Clearwater fan. He had been a drummer.
Okay.
I never saw him play, so by the time I was around, that had kind of gone away. But I do
He'd
remember.
wised up.
Yeah. I do recall. It was in a house we lived in until I was 5, so I had to be younger than 5 when someone came over to buy the drums, and we were crawling up into the attic to pull the drums down.
Oh man, I wonder if that
moment.
kid was probably a really cool kid.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I have no recollection whatsoever. Be nice to find him and get those drums back.
Yeah. Well, and if they were already up in the attic, it'd probably been a while since he played them.
Yeah, likely.
Did you move right after that? Was that like a clearing out, or is it just like it was?
No, had nothing to do with the move. I don't think.
It was just time.
Yeah, yeah.
And did your parents stay together? The whole.
No, until I was 20 or 22.
But older than you growing up, they were.
Yeah, yeah,
So maybe someone said it was time to get those things out of the attic.
yeah. Could have been.
That was the beginning.
Yeah.
And another
The
thing,
long
I'd still
slide.
have those Roger. I'd still have those Slingerlands if it wasn't for you. Right. And so you've got Rocks Off,
Yes.
and that takes you through high school.
That, yeah, it seemed like it was kind of a thing for quite a while, whatever it's relative terms, quite a while. At that time,
Right.
a couple of years is quite a while.
Right. Yeah.
I also then eventually, another band, another 3-piece that Rocks Off was just mostly playing original music. This was not going to be a club band. This was designed to be like an arena band.
Right.
That's right. You don't mess around with clubs.
You just leapfrog.
You're like Zebra. You it's like we're Zebra, and now we're in the sports arenas. It's like
Exactly. So then I needed a little, kind of a club outfit. And
Right.
this was with a couple of older guys. One who did go to my high school, or maybe he had gone to the same high school. Now I don't remember if he was even still at school. I think maybe not. And the guy who was even older than that, the guitar player. This band was called Triad. It did play cover tunes, and I guess the intention was to be able to go out in the world and play.
Make some dough.
I remember it doing a couple of times. That ball never really
you guys
rolled.
didn't break out.
No,
Okay.
no. Our management let us down. It's really hard to find management in those days.
In Bainbridge, on the islands.
Yeah, in Fox Island.
Fox Island. So at that point, you're like, I'm gonna make the big move from Fox Island to Tacoma. Or what's the?
Well, it's funny you should mention Tacoma, because then there was yet another bunch of guys, and they were definitely all. Excuse me. Water. Oh, that is delicious. That is
The best in
absolutely
bottled water.
delicious. 3 other guys, all definitely older, who had done this kind of thing. They had done bands and played bars, and so that's what we were doing. And we did play some. Mostly, I remember playing at. It might have been called the Rainier Tavern. It was a place in Enumclaw. We had some connection there, and that's how we played there.
Hey, fellas.
A number of times.
I've got a connection in the Eaton Club.
Right on. Let's go. Let's go.
What was that operation? What was the name of that band?
Oh, yeah.
When you made that big jump to Tacoma.
Wait, were you living in Tacoma at that point?
No, still living out on Fox
yeah.
Island.
But you can drive from Fox Island. You can take the
Yeah,
That's not-
you
yeah.
drive.
16.
Use the Narrows Bridge.
Right.
Yeah, so, into Tacoma was really 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah. To Tacoma.
And we at the time, you would be going into town. I'm going into town tomorrow.
Right. Just a couple years behind the dirt paved road in the buggy.
Right. The name of that band might have been Zipper. I don't know why. We needed a name.
Yeah.
You do, and they've all been used.
That's
so-
a word.
Yeah.
Right.
So of all the names,
Let's
that's
just use that one.
one of them.
That's one of the last words.
Right.
So
Right. Z.
it's easy to find.
Right. So Zipper's doing gigs in Enumclaw. And are you still in high school, or are you out of high school?
I was still in high school. I think my last year of high school was kind of spotty. I was pretty much done. I needed one. At the time, we were on this trimester system. I don't know, is that a thing?
It used to be. I think some people.
Which
still
I
do.
think actually, like if you went to a university, it'd be a quarter. 'Cause
Right.
semesters.
I remember quarters into 2 semesters. I don't remember the.
Yeah, there were trimesters.
Well,
for
this
a
is
while.
really,
Okay.
it was a
Right.
3-month
Right.
segment, so it's really a quarter, but we called them trimesters, as I recall.
Right.
Whatever we call them, though, actually is not that important. So
Terminology aside,
Dan, you can cut
I
that
needed
out.
one more credit. Oh yeah. hold
You
on.
need one more.
Gotcha.
So you need one more loan credit.
in that whole year, I only needed to go for one of these segments.
To be determined later. Yeah.
So it would have been during that time. Whether I was actually going to school at that moment, I don't recall.
Right. And your senior year was 1980. Was that your
Yes.
graduating? Yeah.
80, graduated in 80.
Okay. So you graduate, or you get out of high school, whatever. Did you were you playing, or you were woodshedding? Were you playing by yourself a ton also, or was it just in the bands? Or?
Yeah. No, I played all the time. Just headphones, playing the records, and
All day, every day.
pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how. I don't have kids. If I did, and they were, but none of them would be a drummer. I would not have that in my house. I don't know how my parents dealt with that.
It probably
Too
helped that you
much.
didn't suck. I think that's a big one.
Yeah, I don't know though. If you're listening to somebody
Right.
downstairs who has they got it all going on in their headphones, and all you're hearing are the drums
Yeah.
being played to Highway Star.
Right. Over
Yes,
and over.
right.
Don't
Many
play
times.
that song anymore.
Yeah, that whole record. I
Don't
know,
play that beat
I know
again.
every
Yeah.
moment to that
Yeah.
record. Yeah, and
It's
my
crazy.
my family does too.
Right. Well, my dad somehow he was didn't have a gig for his most of my senior year, and I had this giant drum set that someone gave me in the garage, and his office was just downstairs in the basement, and so I was playing moving pictures all day, and it was like that. He didn't mind. And
That's unbelievable. It's
no
gotta be-
soundproofing whatsoever. It's it was barely indoors. And I don't know. It's the same thing where it's how did they put up with that?
Well, you have kids or one?
Yeah.
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 Would you? How would that be for you?
Well, we kind of enclosed our carport.
I was
and
going
put,
to say, well, we kind of enclosed him in a space.
we don't see him very much. No, we kind of enclosed our carports. It's sort of soundproof in our house, but it's still a garage. So, the only part that's not double walled and soundproofed is the door, and the door is really thin plywood. So, in essence, what we did was create a speaker box at the back of our driveway so that our neighbors get it full force. So that'd be fine with me because from in the house you can barely hear it. But I wouldn't mind. And they don't mind when I play. again, he doesn't play very loud and doesn't play very often. And he's loud in his room, and sometimes that's like, God, he's pretty loud in there. Why doesn't he just go into the soundproof room? But maybe it's not fun if you can't be heard or something.
Right, yeah, well, that's part of the idea, right?
Yeah.
No, my daughter played drums for a few months, took lessons from a guy that rents, and I'm just really thankful that I have a detached garage. Because she could go out there and it was great. And I didn't have to listen to any of it.
The air gap.
And you can still be that supportive parent.
Yeah.
You can do it in the detached garage
out there. Yeah,
Exactly. Okay, so when do you make the leap to Seattle?
in the fall of 1980,
And go ahead.
came to go to school, which I did for I don't
3
know
months.
if it was even 6 weeks, before I was packing up my little Datsun pickup with my drums and other stuff to go to. I'd gotten a call from Alan Shomshak was in Denver
Right. Oh, that's right.
with a band at a guy that had gone to our high school briefly, Clint Bush. He's kind of a mean guitar player.
Yeah.
And he whatever, he and Al were in Denver with a band that needed a drummer,
You're like, that's me.
and I'm on my way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're going to the U.
yeah, kind of.
You're a register of the U. you're living somewhere close by.
Very,
and
yeah.
6 weeks after you enroll, air quotes,
Yeah,
you're like, Denver.
I withdrew, and
Officially?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah.
that was thoughtful.
Yeah.
I shall be returning.
You can officially withdraw. You don't just like no show. You can just
Yeah, I don't
call
know.
and say, hey, I'm not coming back.
I don't know what.
That process was like?
I do not. I know that I did something. At least sold my books.
Those are assets.
But yeah, now I cannot. Maybe it's to help assuage my whatever guilt might be lingering.
Right.
That I withdrew.
Right.
I went and told them I wouldn't be in on Monday.
Right.
But maybe
I did this. I followed procedure. Why is everyone?
Maybe I didn't. No, they were pressing me on it.
Now that I think about
I'm just
it.
going to keep
Yeah.
thinking that of course I did.
It's your story. You can.
Thank you.
You can create
That's
it.
right.
Right. And so Denver. How did that go?
Very interesting, Denver. Yeah. The band. Did I already? That band name?
We need it.
What is it?
Yeah.
We need it.
Bitch. Of course.
Why not? Of all the names.
This one is also. It's near the beginning. It's easy to find.
Alphabetically.
He's doing the alphabetical.
Like,
right.
yeah.
You're the opposite of Zipper.
Exactly.
I was in this band called Zipper. We need to go the other end. Yeah.
Something. If you are at the other end of the record rack,
Bitch.
Right.
you're not going to get very far before you come across
Yeah.
our records.
The hopeful.
Yeah.
Right.
And the band, I don't really remember there being actually that much of a band. The situation was weird, and pretty soon it was dark, and I remember being all grouped together once or twice, maybe to sort of rehearse. I remember a guy coming over. We were also looking for a bass player, and a local guy came to play bass one night, and that's kind of all I really remember of that band. Otherwise, this shared house, it was just weird. I was there for a couple months.
And then we were like, see ya.
And then, the most successful aspect of being there was I had gotten a job that was actually with fun people, and it was kind of cool. And in retrospect,
It's the best part of it.
I could have.
Yeah.
What the heck? I could have stayed there for a while and had a life.
You had a
Maybe,
gig.
I don't know. But
Yeah. But you decided from bitch to withdraw.
I was coming. Yeah. Yes, I did. That I did. I think I went through the process.
That was that was a good move. That was a good move on your end.
To leave it.
Yeah.
This is all about the name. You already think, well, that project was doomed. You might have known before.
No, I was getting ready for you to tell us about your first show, and then it just kind of segued into that.
There wasn't.
There was just kind of this weird band house, and there was no first show.
Right. Yeah. Well, at least you didn't stick around for a couple of years to not play any shows.
Yeah. So that's sorted that one out real quick.
And you head back.
Came back to my folks for a bit, then pretty soon back to Seattle, back to school, kind of.
Yeah.
And then in a shared house there with ultimately with another couple of guys that had been also from the Gig Harbor area, and that was fun. I wasn't soon making many local, Seattle friends until it must have been only a few months answering an ad in the Rocket, and then I'll let you ask a question because I think that's where this whole thing begins.
Okay, yeah. So where was your mother born?
Yes. My mother.
Sorry.
No,
Now your mother's maiden name
thanks
is what?
for backtracking, Jeff, so that people can.
That's how I like to lead
So you
the
left that out.
The beloved Rocket. You answer an ad that the ad is like, need rock band seeks drummer, or
Hair and attitude a must.
I wish I could remember, and I was talking to Kurt Block about this recently, and we were thinking, surely there's an archive somewhere, and it would be fun to find that ad. And it shouldn't be too hard to find because it had to be in December of 81 or January of 82.
Because that's when you met those fellas. Okay, so you answer an ad in the Rocket. Were you always so you get to back to the U, and you're there for a couple of months? You think?
Let's see. This is kind of tough for you to be digging this stuff right in front of.
it doesn't.
People.
All 13 people.
I thought you meant Dan. I thought you meant Dan for a second. I'm like, no, Dan's totally comfortable with this. He's like,
could you unplug your headphones for a moment?
Could you stop
freaking out, Greg. Gee, God, dude, work on that asshole.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry.
All right.
about that.
I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Just raw.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I was there. It wasn't long.
A couple months.
I was kicked out of the U at least a couple times.
Right.
And I would go.
Did they kick you out by procedure? Like, did they return the
it's quite
courtesy?
formal. Yes, it involved a meeting.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Stuff like that.
You're not welcome.
Are you?
And
I meant to. I will.
Right.
So okay, one more time.
Yeah.
But I was not. I didn't know what I was doing there. Really, I didn't.
Yeah, like a lot of people.
Why I was there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And so it's but during that time, you're not looking for bands. You're not playing very much. Are you playing at the house with a bunch of guys?
I must have been not playing with others.
Yeah.
But I did have my drums set up there.
Yeah.
Played some.
Yeah.
Was not playing with the regularity that I was, set up at my folks' house.
Right. And finally, you're like, "Fuck this! I need to be in a band." Like, what was it?
Yeah,
what?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why it was finally time to answer an ad in the Rocket.
Would you always go through the Rocket, and this is just one of the times, or were you like, no, now I'm looking for a band, so I'm looking through the Rocket?
I don't remember.
fair enough. So you are in the rocket and you see this ad and you call it. And
could I answer all the questions?
Yes.
I don't recall.
I can either confirm or deny there was ever an article. It'll go a lot quicker, though.
We're flying through this.
You're looking to truncate. That's entirely acceptable at any point. And your responses will actually inform your interest level. That's always acceptable answers. No. And so you answer this ad, and it's The Living.
Turns out to be The Living, yeah. I don't remember that the name was in the ad.
Okay.
But I expect it was probably placed or at least answered by John Conte, the singer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I responded, and somebody answered, and I,
As they're wont to.
I went out to Laurelhurst, an unknown territory to me at the time.
Yeah.
A little bit confusing because there are intersections there of things like, 50th and 50th.
Right.
What is this?
That's madness.
Yeah.
Right.
Madness. And no stop signs?
Right.
Like,
Right.
what do you call it? No stop signs.
Yeah, that's what they call that. I did manage to find the place, and it was Todd Fleischman's, who Todd turns out to be the bass player.
Right.
Todd Fleischman's mom's place, and they were rehearsing in her basement. And I walk up to the door and knocked and stepped back down, a couple of steps on the stoop, and this big dude with blue hair, spiky blue hair, throws the door open, and there we go. We're off.
Is that the first guy you ever saw with colored hair?
Yeah, I think
One of them? Huh. Oh, yeah.
possibly that I was at least that, like within touching distance.
Right.
Or that I spoke to,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, do you remember the first jam? Do you guys remember? Do you remember playing?
Not really.
Yeah.
But it's pretty quick, it was, hey, do you want to play? And I don't know, this music, what is this? And then, which now seems, really, I had some hesitation, that's stupid. But yes, I soon signed on. Mm-hmm. Formally,
Right.
probably like a handshake or something.
Right.
Right.
Dude,
Pre-COVID.
Right.
So
He actually touched,
Yeah.
touched hands.
Yeah, it might have
Yeah, shaking
embraced
hands.
for this.
Right.
Yeah.
And were they doing all originals? I mean, did you guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the beginning of '82, probably. End of
Yes,
81,
that has to be early '82. Yeah, and that was the beginning of everything Seattle for me. Absolutely everything.
Yeah.
A band, community, friends, almost family.
Yeah.
It was really awesome moment.
And you guys go on. So, do you start playing? Like, do you start playing shows, or do you record? Like, so you have this record coming out. You have this record coming out now.
Right. Oh,
currently.
now we've
Yeah.
skipped.
We've jumped
Jesus.
to the. Yeah, I know.
40 years.
It's like a
A seizure or something.
It's like,
yeah.
David Lynch film. Whoa, 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 whoa.
What just happened? Wait,
Yeah.
you're tiny now? What, the grandparents are tiny? And that's the end? Sorry. So that Living record that's coming out now, did you guys record and then play shows? Did you play shows and then record? Do you remember how that worked?
Yes, different from the way it's done now, where you make a record and then you play.
Right.
We played like a rock band.
Right.
But if you want any like detail, you might have to go somewhere else.
Right. Okay.
I definitely remember, going at it in that basement quite a bit. the way I remember it, we played a lot. I remember there being a party there that had to be. I'm not remembering a lot of parties there, so I'm guessing this was one party, and that would then have been Duff's birthday party. So that would have put it sometime, whenever his birthday, sometime in February.
Right.
We all had chipped in to buy him a guitar.
Wow.
And I don't know if I'm really telling a story. I'm just telling things that I'm remembering.
We'll edit
and
them
then
together.
We'll
edit them together into a
yes,
story.
you can assemble these pieces later to figure out what I was talking
he was
about.
actually saying. Yeah, so that's his job.
Oh,
Yeah. See all this
editor.
stuff? It's where the magic happens right here.
Right.
Us three, we're just content.
You
He's the
can't
magic right
screw
there.
up.
Just fill it up.
It's impossible to screw up. It's
Yeah.
impossible.
Okay,
That's why we don't do it live.
good.
Yeah.
So I was at the birthday.
Yeah. Is it a living gig? Like playing the party or something?
No,
No, you're
this
just
is
like having a birthday, yeah.
party.
At Fleischman's.
Yes. I'm sure we played. We always, our little gaggle of friends were often around. And I'm sure we played some also, but it was not a gig.
Right. It wasn't billed that way.
It wasn't even billed.
It wasn't formally.
And it wasn't formal. It was none of the things.
Right.
We just played.
Right.
So, let's see, what else was I going to say about that? That must be then also the same event. Oh, this will all be useful. Now I'm realizing this is good. There was a moment where, so it's a party. People are kind of around the house doing party stuff.
Sure.
And Duff and I end up upstairs in somebody's room. And I remember sitting there, and Duff, that must have been his new guitar, just sitting on the bed, and he wrote, there's a song on the record called Live by the Gun. I think that's the one where we were sitting there together, and he basically wrote this just while we're hanging out.
That's on the living record?
Yeah, in about as much time as it takes to actually just play it.
Right.
He wrote it.
He wrote it that fast.
Yeah.
And
Is that-
remembered it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
So that's a little thing I think you could probably use.
We'll edit that in
movie.
somewhere.
In the movie, I described the whole
Right.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
I think.
The sequence of events.
Yeah,
as
and
it
the
occurred.
scene
Yep.
even.
Yeah. We'll have to find someone to play Todd, obviously.
That's key.
Very important.
Yeah, Todd, and you'll see when you see. Have you seen the cover of the record yet?
Yeah.
That's
Todd,
Todd.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
so
he was
cool.
the other night. I got to hang out with you guys after you'd done the podcast thing at the studio, at Duff's studio,
That's right.
and he had stories
Oh yeah.
and stories, and so
He'll go.
that wasn't so like. And what he was a tough guy, like a tough guy, not a tough guy. Todd.
Wow, I don't know what you're trying to say, Jeff. He was a tough guy, or he wasn't a tough guy? Oh, he wasn't a tough guy. He was a tough. Look, what does that mean?
Wasn't he like a black belt in karate or something?
He not at that time.
Oh, okay.
I think, but he did become that,
Right.
and this would have been later, like during a time that we were not really in touch.
Okay.
But he was quite accomplished, as I understand, like a national kind of champion, which makes his older brother, Kim, was also, and at the time that those early days of the living, Kim was, I think, pretty into karate. I think it was karate,
Yeah.
some kind of martial art at the time. He also was sort of kick ass.
Right. Ass kicking.
That as well. Yeah.
In addition to
The odd combination.
Yeah. Okay, and so the living is like, how long does that last? Do you like
5 or 6 days.
in band years.
Yeah.
I'd like more like 6 days versus 5, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Probably because we squeezed a lot in.
Yeah.
This also, thanks to Kurt Block, was able to work a little bit of this out because he has some calendars, or probably not Brett Kavanaugh kind of calendars, but
Name drop.
I
don't know who Brett Kavanaugh is.
excuse me, Supreme Court Justice, controversial
that Brett
situation
Kavanaugh.
of recent times.
You know, I'm going to go on
I'm
record.
sorry to bring that.
I'm going to go on record as saying that's the first Supreme Court Justice reference we've had on the show so far. So
It is.
It kind of went over.
It
but
is.
Did he have journals about molesting people?
Oh, good Lord! Am I such a freak? Was I so obsessed that I thought everybody was following this to some degree, and now
No, you're probably right. I was just overwhelmed. I couldn't. I didn't have one more fuck to give. I was so overwhelmed by what.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you were telling us about the Kirk Block calendars.
Oh,
would maybe help
what
us
you're
with
telling me is
the
that
Seattle scene
we're leaving that
timelines.
subject now. That train
No,
is
we can-
moving
no,
on.
we can-
And no, I don't. we don't need to dwell.
Did he
Anyway,
have
so-
sketches in his journal? This Brett Kavanaugh guy.
I don't remember if there were
Was he into
sketches,
photography?
but it was a big deal that he had calendars so he could
Yeah.
corroborate the dates
Anti-corroborate.
and times of his
Yeah. All right.
whatever.
And then Kurt Block
sorry
is
I
a different
brought that
guy, right? He's not the.
Yeah, Kurt Block
That's the
has-
only parallel is the journal, right?
Was calendar. I thought
Calendar?
I was being clever, smart, and really,
You're gonna have to lower the bar.
it was just a mess. Really sorry.
You were, the rest of us weren't. That's basically how that worked out.
It's great
right?
though. It'll work amazing here. Here it'll seem very clever.
It'll come back
right here.
after he cuts it out.
Editing.
Dan, don't fuck that up.
Okay. So Kurt Block had ways of measuring and documenting the past. And we,
With the written word of
with
somehow.
his help, determined that the end, so we can work backwards, of the living. But the Living's last show would have been, I think he said July of '82
Okay.
at Roscoe Louis, a gallery in Pioneer Square.
Okay.
And he knows that because that was a Fastbacks record release party, and the Fastbacks did end up playing some also. I guess that's part
So
of
he's
it.
got it written down.
Yes.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, here's a document.
And that's the last. Did you? Well, as far as you know, that's the last time you played together, or that was kind of like the end of the live shows. I mean, like how?
That I'm not certain how soon. Surely it was soon after that it was ending,
Right.
and the end was precipitated by the departure of one member. The three remaining of us. That gives a clue, a piece of the.
Right.
We had a go at continuing just looking for another
Member. Who shall not be named.
And
You said number.
Apropos.
I said remember. What was I saying? There was, and then a lot of detail I don't remember about how that was going there at the end, but I do remember that sort of a moment where the three of us are just kind of standing there quietly with our shoulders hanging, feeling like we've kind of,
This is the end.
there's just enough of this.
Yeah.
Fuck this up and
Yeah. And so that's probably that. And then so, and is 10-minute warning sort of simultaneous?
10-minute warning had been the farts, and the farts were simultaneous.
right.
And
So- okay.
soon after, how soon, I don't remember. Pretty soon after the living ended, Duff was playing drums with the farts.
Right. And I think that was, from what we've kind of uncovered, I think that was sort of the simultaneous. Maybe.
What do you mean by simultaneous?
Well,
like happening at the same time?
Not
It's just-
literally.
it's more this word stuff from you.
Right. I think the timelines overlap. Like when the farts were playing and when Duff was in the farts and when Duff was in the living.
Oh, that would be news to me. Oh, really?
I'll have to have a word with him.
I don't think so, and
You
I
don't?
prefer
Okay.
to remember it that way.
Let's deal with your memory today.
but I mean, some of these, like you said, we were together 6 days. So the living has this window of time. The farts has a window of time.
Yeah.
10-minute warnings on deck, and it feels like it starts to, the history starts to like overlap to a certain degree.
Sure.
And there's a lot of similar lineups as well, and you guys are.
I mean, am I not the special guest? So
Yeah, Dan.
He's a special guest.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you are.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the farts were already a band,
Right.
and the living ended. I guess my preferred version of events is that then, and only after, the Duff started playing with the farts. I mean, actually, I seriously don't recall that Duff was already.
Okay.
It seems like I would have known that, but I don't know. Whatever.
It's very possible.
And then couldn't have been weeks, some short months
Right.
before the farts were making some changes. They'd done some recording, and kind of all at the same time, Duff then was going to start playing guitar, and they get another drummer, and they called me, and then it became 10-minute warning. Though I think there was some kind of release of some material that had been recorded with Duff playing drums that was called 10-minute warning, that had been
Oh, okay.
recorded kind of as this transition was happening.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So you're kind of the beginning of 10-minute warning when you get into what becomes.
At that point, it seems like it was sort of solidified that this
Right.
is what it
Okay.
is. But there was that recording that was
Shall not
kind
be
of
named.
made by for the farts,
Right.
changing their name.
And so you've done the living, and what is 10-minute warning like for you as far as like this is your third band, your third originals, kind of.
Oh, including Rocks Off?
Why wouldn't you?
Well,
include
you would
Rocks
totally
Off?
include Rocks Off.
Yeah.
I mean, if those guys are listening,
Rocks Off.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they are. So yes, that'd be my third original project.
Yeah, and this is where I get kind of like lost in the weeds a little bit because it's like, that band seems to have like it didn't have any weak links. We were talking about that. Like it was sort of everybody had their shit together.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe the living seemed like that also. I don't know. But the living didn't, like for whatever reason, the record didn't come out, the recording, it didn't have seems like you didn't have a very long run. There wasn't this moment where everyone in the city loved, like it seems like there was a time where everyone loved 10 Minute Warning.
Yeah, well, a couple of things there. That what I said. That the idea that everybody loved 10 Minute Warning is so interesting to me because I didn't think about that. I didn't know about that. I know that when we went to play that there were people there.
Right.
And that's cool.
Right.
But I didn't think of it in terms of success. Like, oh,
right.
We really got it going on. It's kind of weird. Which then back to the living, as documented by this recording, was pretty cool band. Excuse me. And why did it just? So what happens? Well, how come? Why nothing? Why you do it and then you stop? What's that all about?
Right.
At that time, and I'm kind of reverse engineering this, like trying to understand it myself, but there was so much just focused and enthusiasm toward just playing. We just love to play, and we didn't know about or how to build a thing, like what that means, that there's a process and what you do. It seems that, and maybe it's just a part of the larger scene evolving. That it starts out with it's a lot of people that just want to play and make this personal music and do shows where most of the audience will be their friends. And once you get that sorted out, we can play, and it's pretty cool. Now, then you move on to maybe this consciousness evolves in the broader scene of. So then you start thinking about, how do we do something with this? I'm making that up.
No, it makes tons of sense, and like from the reverse engineering, like if you think about the band you ended up in with the MotherLoverBone, it's like everyone knew the mechanism was there by then, right?
Yes.
But for 10 Minute Warning, it's like you're saying, it's like there wasn't this, if we do this, this, and this will happen.
Right.
It was just you were doing it, and you were all studied and all really competent on what you all had your bases covered, and it was just like the first thing that everybody, like, it wasn't, you weren't trying for that. It was just.
Yeah, it was a little bit. It's not that, everybody obviously, or maybe it's not obvious, but naturally harbored, somewhere in their back of their mind, some fantasy of fame and glory and large crowds and money. But it took a while for that to evolve or move more toward the front of your consciousness, so that you could actually, if that's a thing that I picture, then how does that happen?
Right.
And it kind of, at least, and I can mostly just speak for myself, knowing that that's definitely how it was for me. Like just a bit of a disconnect from, what.
There's a disconnect between what you're doing and like what you're saying, like, fame and fortune.
And turning that stuff into a goal, whereas that is something you begin to
There's no
act
straight
on with a
line
plan.
that you can visualize
No.
on how
Yeah.
to get there.
Did you guys
and
ever?
judging by the way a lot of the behavior of others and bands seems that other people have suffered from this, or I don't know if it's suffering necessarily, but other people are operating similarly.
Did you guys ever like sit down and go, "Cool, we're doing well. We're kind of kicking the shit out of Seattle. What's our next step?"
No, no, that would be planning.
That's the thing that there wasn't any
That's
of.
what there was not
Right.
much of. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As I recall.
Right.
I see now, and at the time, even maybe in 10 Minute Warning specifically, Blaine was possibly the most evolved in that way, as I think then evidenced later in the way he operated.
Right. Kind of do it yourself and
And actually do it,
Draw a line
have a thing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we were just that lack of a connection between what you love. You're doing it because you love it, but connecting it to those shows you saw at the Coliseum.
Exactly.
It's like those aren't the same thing.
Kind of, yeah.
And
Yeah, right.
and it seems like it was, and maybe it wasn't even just, it wasn't 10 Minute Warning, but the scene of people here had turned into something that could create a straight line between what's happening at the Grey Door and someday being at the Coliseum. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's like I've been looking for this.
For how did that happen?
What happened? Like what was the it's like a black hole. It wasn't, or it's like the Big Bang. It wasn't there, and then it was there.
Well, again, my take on it, and I don't always trust that I really, though I was kind of often sort of at the center or near the center of things, I didn't feel like I was really grasping
Cognizant.
that. So when my observations, I'm not sure of their accuracy, but yeah, I'll give them to you anyway.
But he's the special guest, though, right?
Yeah,
We'll take him.
All right.
Yeah.
Homestead Records, the U-Min and Green River. These are the things that began to build that bridge, to kind of cultivate this awareness of the business and
Right.
The industry meets the bands.
Yeah,
The industry meets the city.
And the way that I saw it, the U-Min were kind of one of the first ones coming from that community to kind of get it together, and
Who weren't necessarily like Alternative Tentacles or
Right.
SST.
right.
It was Home Rec. What was it called?
Homestead.
Was that Seattle?
No, I think it was in New York. Now that I can't say for certain, but
But it was like an independent.
yes.
True. And they put out U-Men Records.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, now maybe I'm. Am I? Is this? Am I?
Oh, well,
Fact check.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get that fact checked. Not right now, though. We'll edit that in.
Well, you just insert the facts later.
Post pro.
Good.
Well,
Yeah.
we could do it right now, but Dan's too busy.
Yeah. He has to click the
totally
of
irritating.
notes here. Checking his email. What are we doing over here?
He's probably looking at his Bitcoin investments.
Yeah, that's what I am.
The old timers are.
Yeah.
God, these old
online
timers are.
gambling. Yeah. Obviously.
Mostly that. That's really
Somebody's making money. here.
DraftKings.com or whatever.
yeah, something like that.
All right.
Well, and that's where it seems like where I guess it ends up is like it's the industry meeting what's here.
Yes.
Like and you
Yeah,
have to,
and I really, for me, the way that I mean, the 30,000 foot view of kind of how that evolved from we're just hanging out and we love to play in the basement to, okay, if we need to make records and pile into
You can get that if you want.
Yes, I'm talking right now. I'm talking. So
I'm talking to somebody else.
Yeah, and not you. I mean, it seems like I'm talking to you.
So rude. So rude.
Oh no.
Yeah, the U-Man.
Yes,
Yep.
it's loading your stuff into a station wagon.
Yeah,
And
getting it done.
getting it on.
Getting the rubber on the road.
So I am pretty sure that because I just remember that being kind of a big, like, ooh, that the U-Men were doing that, and it has stuck with me that was Homestead Records. And
when was that? Like what year did the U-Men start or play? I mean, are you playing with those guys in 10-minute warning, or is it after that?
Just after,
Yeah.
maybe.
Right.
Those are some facts that can be inserted
Copy that.
later.
Fact check.
But yeah, right after it was I remember there was a time when the Rainbow Tavern on
Yeah.
45th,
Yeah.
which at the time was just up the street from my house, was a place where that stuff was happening, and I remember going to see the U-Men there. And this was at the time when they were kind of having it together, and they were pretty killer.
Yeah. And did you know those guys?
Yeah, not real well. Maybe I didn't really get to know them until a little later, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that I really knew them so well at that time. Okay. And then definitely I again, I have to check this. I thought that Green River had some. Yeah, thank you. I thought that Green River had some kind of a Homestead affiliation for a minute, maybe.
Right.
But even if they didn't, they were also, I know that they did actually literally, I think they piled into a station wagon and went across the country.
Green River did.
Yeah.
Wow.
And those guys, namely Jeff Ament, I think, kind of became business savvy and got pretty good at paying attention to that and having ideas about it and knowing what to do with it. And that we certainly did by the time we were playing at MotherLoveBone.
As in, like, when he was during his Green River days, he was starting to hone those skills.
I did not really know them at that time, but that's, thinking back of what I was seeing and then what I experienced later when we were playing together, that I'm sure that was significant. And in fact, definitely the first connection for MotherLoveBone was some of the Geoff sent a tape to that he had met through on a Green River tour, I think.
Right.
Where, somehow through Green River.
That was the initial interest.
That's what's triggered the whole everything.
Good job, Geoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so let's back up and pick up the spare. So, 10-minute warning is you're doing great shows. You do you end up on the cover of the Rocket with the culprit, the split
right. Oh yeah.
thing.
Right.
Does that seem like a big deal? I mean, like.
Yeah, again, it kind of like it seems when you see it, that's me, that's cool. But it doesn't feel like, wow, my life is, just really taken off and now we got it going on.
Right.
It wasn't quite like that.
It's not a plateau.
No.
Yeah.
It's a small step. It was It was just, you know.
But like, how many bands did the Rocket have on the cover that were local then? Like, it just seems like
All
it would have
of
been
them.
such a gigantic. Well, did they?
Weren't they?
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of that was their whole
Thing?
raison.
Did they put Nationals on the
d'etre,
cover? I
right?
mean, I don't
know.
remember, to tell you the truth.
I don't remember either. I don't know how it went.
Dead air. Everybody
Oh, that happens to us all the time on this. It's like,
It's not a
have a
problem.
moment of silence
Yeah.
for not
Everyone's like-
knowing anything.
oh no, or you're trying to remember. You,
Walked yourself into a cul-de-sac.
right.
Now you got to turn it and walk
okay,
back.
now we got to figure this out. Turn it around.
And then we talk a lot, so Dan knows where it is, so we can edit it out. And
We like to
scene.
we like to do
Oh,
that.
I see all
It's
these
like-
squiggles that start up after that flat spot. There, that must
it's
be it.
fun to.
Everyone just. There you go.
There we go.
It's easy. All right, so it doesn't matter.
I know we're doing something wrong when I look over and Dan's like this. And you're like, and I'm like all of a sudden like, shit. We need to make an adjustment now. It's like,
I was dropping pearls.
I thought I was owning this.
Okay. So you're in the 10-minute warning,
Yeah.
the 10-minute warning.
Yes. Yeah.
And that, so how does that come to an end for you?
Not clearly. Not clearly. That's. I don't know why you asked that question because there isn't a good answer.
There isn't one. Okay. But it does come to an end.
yeah.
You're not still in the band.
Well,
Wait a minute. Let's back up.
I don't remember there being that this
Formal?
ended formally. So technically,
Right.
no. It. Yeah, I don't. It was not. It's not. I don't. It's not clear.
Yeah.
Duff and David Griggs left the band at I think the same time, and that must have been sometime. I'm guessing springish of '80, or it could have been earlier, but '84.
Yeah.
And I know that because Duff and I eventually split for LA in the fall of '84.
Right.
But Tim and Warning we replaced those two guys with one.
Super guy.
You went to a 3?
Yeah.
They went down to a
you were
3-piece for
three-piece
a
then.
while?
3 plus vocals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Because you
Like Led Zeppelin? I mean, it wasn't a lot like Led Zeppelin. Exactly.
hit-wise.
Right. Right. But, we had
Guitars.
and a singer who didn't have a guitar.
Oh, right. The lead singer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that way, it was a lot like Led Zeppelin.
Right. Okay.
So we did for some time, and that's where I just start saying stuff like, "Well, we did that for some time."
Some predetermined, post-determined amount. We'll ding the bell and fact check and post-pro that in. But so Dave and Duff leave. You do it for a little while, and then you and Duff move to LA.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then, and we can either talk about that. Like I realized just since we were talking the other day, that it's like I don't want to just talk about 79 to 80 because you're here and you are the special guest, and it's like I'd like to talk all the way up to whenever you get bored and want to go home.
Okay.
That's not now, is it?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
No, it's
and,
good,
And we can
actually.
either like you and I spoke about you went down, you and Duff moved down there, and you're down there for a while. You're down there for 6 months. What was it?
Yeah, 5 or 6 months.
Yeah. And you're trying to get gigs. Mm-hmm. And what's the one? What's the one? The fucking you?
That thing, that weird.
No, the good one. What was the?
Oh, I did answer an ad in wherever that must have been
The
the
Recycler or whatever?
Recycler,
Yeah.
I think, right? Band called Animal Dance.
Right.
and I showed up to find out their rhythm section had been. What's her name? Fishbone, and what was the bass player's?
Who's the Fishbone bass player?
Yeah. Anyway, those two guys were leaving.
So the drummer.
Now I'm pretty sure it's the drummer, and because Fishbone was starting to happen.
Right.
They're leaving to form Fishbone.
Or already formed.
That's right. Got it.
Taken off.
And so you're jamming with the bass player from Fishbone?
Yeah.
And the woman.
And a dude, as I recall.
Yeah.
And it was cool. Seemed cool. Seemed like maybe this would be a thing, and then I don't know. Then it wasn't a thing, and I don't think they carried on. It seems that maybe it was a moment of transition for them, as happens to bands, and
right.
They just let it go.
Something gained, something lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're down there, but you're there when you and Duff are both looking for gigs, and
we were both looking for gigs, and sometimes together.
Yeah. And so you're there when he answers. Does he answer? How does that go down? Where
yeah,
you guys are living
I think
together?
It was the same.
Yeah,
probably the same thing, a recycler ad or something, and
he meets the
he
fellas.
hooked up with Slash and Steven.
Right. But you're not super stoked on LA.
It was not really my kind of place, or I just wasn't. I wasn't meeting people to. The people I was meeting to hang out with weren't even they weren't musicians.
Right. The people you like, the people you resonated with, or whatever.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So you're like, I'm gonna go home.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. And when you come home, do you move back to Seattle, or do you move back to?
Yeah, back to Seattle.
And that's like
85.
85. And
then there's a big window there where I don't think I wasn't playing much.
Right.
One thing I remember about music at that time was, even in that short time, which, as we've discussed, in some ways can be a long time, things had evolved, it seemed, a lot since, the few months I was gone.
After you left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most significantly, bands were like the songs, they're playing songs, the songwriting and most importantly, the chorus. They had songs with choruses.
Right.
And that's a major step toward.
Right.
And
right.
This was the Greed River was doing that. Right.
They had choruses.
I think.
Now,
yeah.
Duff touched on it a little bit when he was like, I was in a band and the other guitarists could play leads. and he was just like, so it was like, this is part of that step that you're discussing here.
Yeah, exactly.
So in the 6 months, you come back and people have songs.
And something had really happened here.
Right.
It was changed.
And so you spend a couple years. You go to.
Right. I don't. Definitely were no bands in that time. And there might have been. There was a little known band called the Chubby Children.
And who's in that band?
Brian Fox, who had been manager for The Living.
Okay.
And
we're on camera. He can see you. Sorry. We'll edit that part out.
I don't know, the picture just went black. Straight to something. This cheap,
Dan?
this camera.
Thank you.
It's done that to me.
yeah,
Yep,
just
yep.
Jiggle that cord.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. Chubby children.
Garth Brandenburg
Okay.
and Geoff. Oh, God. So sorry, Geoff.
Going way back.
Last name is
Frankfurter.
it's awful. Anyway.
Shredding.
Though, actually,
Oh.
no. Oh, I blew it. I didn't have to. I didn't have to indulge that embarrassment because Geoff was not part of the band at that time.
because he didn't have a last name.
Shit.
Jeff.
An old friend of Duff's, this Geoff.
Okay.
Great guy. Anyway,
That's the Chubby Children.
it was hard. There was not even a regular bass player at the time.
Right.
That I recall. Actually, there a few. We had a few guys come try it out. This thing, we didn't do any recording. Didn't get as far as any performances during this period. I'm just pretty sure that there probably was one of the things that filled that couple of years was a few attempts at getting this Chubby Children thing happening.
Gotcha.
Which is very much the sort of, I think, the brainchild of Brian Fox, but this song where he was pretty deeply assisted by Garth playing guitar.
Okay.
And anyway, whatever else was happening in that time, I cannot recall.
Yeah.
But I did, in another milestone, I know the date of in the middle of August of '87. I packed up my stuff and into a lot of it in my mom's basement, and what I needed to carry on a one-way ticket to Bangkok, I put in a backpack and split and traveled around Southeast Asia for 5 months.
And you're how old?
25.
And you're gone for 5 months. Was that killer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good trip.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
And I would do trips with significantly a few years later, another months-long trip like that. But many of my favorite life's memories are from those travels.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the most amazing thing to do.
What's your motivation? What are you after? What are you looking for on those trips? Like
Just to
just
go.
life experience?
Yeah, I mean the first one was a longtime friend, complicated, sometimes girlfriend. At that time, had been talking about for a long time, a couple of years maybe. She was going to make this trip, and I don't know what does that mean? And, well, okay. Then next thing I know after a couple of years, she has a ticket. She's going on a trip. And she had made some connection with somebody. She did have there was something happening. Someone she was meeting up with a situation.
Oh, there was
at first
an anchor
that for a couple of weeks, and then after that, freeform
jumping off.
And like a jumping off.
Yeah.
She was jumping off it.
Yeah, but she had a place to land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's got it. This has actually happened. Maybe I'm.
Oh no, you don't.
Yeah, it doesn't. How does this work? So she hooked me up with her travel agent, who was experienced at this kind of travel, like a cheap ticket, one way. Get yourself a Lonely Planet guide and
Off you go.
go.
Jesus.
So I left a couple weeks maybe after she did, and so great then. This is pre-internet, pre-texting.
You're lost in the world.
Yeah, so what we're doing is, as I'm driving her to the airport, she has this book open, and we're figuring, okay, we're both starting out in Bangkok, and she's going to be wandering out in this direction with these people, and then I'll arrive, and I guess I'll kind of wander down like this, and so we'll give ourselves plenty of time to just do our own thing for a minute, and we'll meet in Singapore, in front of, at this monument in this park at noon on such and such date. And that's it. You know, you don't text like, okay, I'll be there in a couple days, or I'm about an hour late. So it's, you know,
Right.
none of this.
Right. None of that exists.
You're just gonna,
None of that
we're
exists.
just going to be there.
Got malaria, none of that.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And he did it.
We did it.
It panned out.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Yep.
It's unbelievable what we did before the electronics.
How do we even?
And it
survive?
worked.
Yeah.
And it worked. Right. Remember, it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get back, and is that like, that's the trip you got back from, and immediately you kind of,
Yes.
you starting to, what does that look like? You land, and then what happens? As you recall.
Yeah. Well, I was back in Seattle, not like pretty fresh, hanging out up on Capitol Hill somewhere, walking down Broadway, ran into Stone Gossard, and this would have been, I came back on Christmas of '87, so this would have been probably just after the new year, maybe real early, '88, and I ran into Stone. We were acquainted with each other. I think we didn't really know each other, but he asked me if I wanted to come down and play, and I did, and that was that.
Yeah. And was the band already did you pop into a fully formed unit, or was it like, was there a getting together of the band, or was it already?
It was already kind of, that part of it had been determined. I did not have a name yet, I think. That happened once I was there. That was
So, like, you were the final member to join.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did you know any of the other fellas?
Andy, a little bit. Andy had been a fan of 10 Minute Warning, and like he and Regan I remember them being around and at shows and talking to them.
Right.
So, somewhat acquainted with Andy.
Yeah. So not complete strangers.
No.
And that, what did you do? That seemed to move pretty fast.
Very, yes.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, those guys were, thankfully, they were into recording and writing and get a batch of stuff worked up, even if it's not complete. There's no better way to figure out what you're up to than listening to yourself recorded, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So we started recording right away at Reciprocal. And man, it might have been, it kind of seems like it was the first thing we did. The first session produced some stuff that we all felt pretty chuffed about. Like, yeah, this is a thing. And
do you remember like which songs those were?
I'm remembering, I think, no, it doesn't make sense because it's just that song. I'm thinking of Capricorn Sister,
Mm-hmm.
but then I'm thinking that had to been written a little bit later and was not have been in this early batch, but maybe, I don't know. It might have been.
Was the early batch, was that the Shine? Was that?
No, that came.
That was later.
Yeah.
Okay. Did any of the early batch come out?
Some of that stuff has ended up either bootlegged or even officially later, I think.
Right.
Yeah. And, whatever. I guess people like to hear it.
I guess if someone's going to buy it, someone's going to
Yeah, that someone's going
make
to
it
sell it.
available. Yeah.
I had bought your cassette, Greg.
You did?
I had bought the cassette.
Which
and
one?
Apple.
Okay.
And yep, we would go to my friend's house. Oh, me and Geoff jammed with him.
Oh, Eric.
We would go to Eric's place and listen to that like over and over and
Yeah.
over. Oh yeah, man, yeah.
Was that like the original version of the like the LP version of the record, or
I wanna
pretty soon it was repackaged with
You're
a
the
bunch of
original
extra?
one.
I think I want to say I have the original.
Yeah.
I
The Apple,
yeah.
because the purple one's not Apple, right?
I guess that's
the reissue
it.
is has a bunch of the other stuff, and it has the whole Chloe Dancer Crown of Thorns.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah, this
doesn't
is
Apple
like-
just have Crown of Thorns?
Is
that how that worked?
it might just have the Chloe Dancer part.
Oh, right. It doesn't have the right. Okay, yeah. Because they didn't show up together until singles. Is that where that came out first, or how did that work?
Is that how that was done? When Crown of Thorns is on Shine, right?
I think it's on Apple. I know it's on Apple also. I don't know.
Right.
No, it definitely was recorded at the Shine
Okay.
sessions.
Yeah. Don't listen to me. You're
And
the
I
special
have
guest.
reasons for being very, very confident about that. If there's anything I've
I know a
said
guy that was in the band.
all afternoon, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that what? Okay.
I
One of
will
my-
tell a little. It's a detour, but I'll try to
Please,
keep it
please,
focused.
no,
It
go
just
ahead.
seems like a moment to impart a little bit of wisdom. Playing in time, it's a very, very powerful thing.
That's it.
Yes. Well, I'll tell a little bit of how I know that.
Oh dear. Oh.
I keep this short.
Oh.
No, it's not bad. It was
Drummer knowledge.
Wow, that's pretty cool. We were doing pre-production for Shine. Fun fact, in Nancy Wilson's the downstairs rec room at her house out in Woodinville, and Mark Durnley had come, who's a Brit, had come to record and produce this recording.
And this is the Shine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we are going through, so we're playing stuff there, with him. And we played Crown of Thorns. And now I'm not remembering the details of how that, because there's kind of a long segment, the slower segment of the song,
There's
right?
the piano thing that he does at the beginning.
But that's not is that Chloe? The Chloe Dancer part? Then there's a ba-dum.
Right.
That-
Down.
That, and it does that for a time,
Oh,
right?
right,
where it's,
right,
where
right.
it's very, it's
Open.
pretty. Yeah, yeah, open.
Right.
And
Space.
then then we take off for, the extended outro, the big part. The
Oh,
rave up.
right. Yeah.
Well, when you listen to the recording that we made, if you tap your foot, you will notice that going between the two sections, it maintains.
Really?
Yeah, and when we initially played it, it developed in the way those things tend to do with a young band with some maybe limited experience.
Mm-hmm.
It could be launching an argument about things like religion and stuff right now, but we're just going to leave that. We can come back to it.
To another time, yeah.
Yes. that transition to going out is sped up smoothly.
On
You know,
purpose?
it was. That's the question.
Right.
Yes.
Do you play a little faster live?
It wasn't just a little faster. Like the transition to the outro, it was, you know,
Yeah.
went up to a whole nother tempo, which worked. But Dernley pointed this out. He's, you know, you're speeding up at the and we're all, "Huh?"
Oh, you did, yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't on purpose at
And-
the time when he pointed it out.
Correct.
Yeah.
So he pulls out his metronome, tick, 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 and demonstrates. Well, I'll be damned. Why does it matter? Well, just try it. So we tried it. Ooh, that's very interesting. What happens when the time stays solid? Now I don't want to fight about this. I'll just say sometimes it can be very powerful thing to do to hold that those things where you think, oh, but it just wants to speed up, and the energy, it's happening, it's there.
Right. Yeah.
There can be a lot more power in holding it back and just holding the line and
Yeah. Filling that space with the energy and not the
with
speed.
with the urge to lean and being held,
Right.
holding it.
And that was without a click. So you did it
Ultimately,
consciously.
when we recorded it, a lot of that record I did play with a click, and that was the first time I'd ever done that.
Right.
On Shine?
Yeah.
How'd
And
that-
man, when I think about it, then I'm kind of freaked out for my young self. Like, well,
You
you're gonna
did
be able
what for the first time? When?
Yeah. But at the time, I guess you're so focused on, we're just really into this thing, making it happen and taking in a lot and working hard to be better. And that was part of it. I didn't even hesitate and pause, take the time out to be freaked out about it. Just did it. And
Right.
Wow.
adapted to it pretty quickly. Got really comfortable with it really pretty quick. Certainly, it is a thing that you kind of need to keep. It's like a muscle, you know. And I
Right.
do not do it so much now, and it's harder.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and when it matters,
Yeah,
and to not hear it, because a lot of times you can hear the click and someone's playing.
yes, yeah. And I actually, arguably, there's some of that on Apple.
You can hear it.
And I feel like I had really embraced it. It was into the challenge of it, and it was doing a lot for my playing. But then maybe there's a point where, okay,
Diminishing.
it's like too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was kind of getting at that point. And
Still sounded pretty freaking good.
thank you.
You're welcome.
But I am a proponent of learning to play to a clicks, just so you find out what does it feel like to play in time.
Yeah.
And then, okay, turn it off and go ahead and be
Yeah.
Right.
human about it.
Feel the song or whatever.
But you know that thing you've set up a young player with or you bring up introduce the idea of a click track and, hey man, that's my thing. I just play by the I
Right.
just feel it.
Right.
Speeding up in the fills, that's my thing.
Yeah, you actually don't know what you're feeling.
You don't have a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on
Yeah.
you're on a steady dose of the punk circuit, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
so and you're like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
that was
No,
my
that's a
little
great segue.
moment.
Yeah. And so Shine, so I didn't know that, because I think you had Shine at some point. I think you had you were the first person I ever saw who had
I
it.
think
Maybe.
I had Shine.
I think it was a record, though. But
I went through my vinyl. I couldn't find any MotherLoverBone. I have some timestamps of your shows, so we can
Wow.
determine whether you were
Oh.
doing Shine. First of all, I'm pretty sure that this is Apple.
I'm going to pee real quick. You guys, are you good? I need to use the bathroom. You can talk to him for a second.
Don't
do we
freak
have
out.
to talk about that?
No?
What? Tell me a story, Steve.
Tell you a story. Okay. I mean,
Yeah, what about these? What do you have there?
okay, cool. I have this. First of all, I can't. This is I'm going to go here, 1989.
Uh-huh.
You guys played a show with Alice in Chains. And I know this because I would write the openers on the back of the, yeah. And you guys did this at the Oz. Remember the Oz?
Yes. Yeah, that
Kind of
was
down by the McDonald's or whatever.
we played there just once, right? And it was at the end of our little North American van tour. So what was
Okay.
the date of that?
That was May 4th, 1989.
89. Wow.
And that was, I paid $7 to see you.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, totally worth it. Are you kidding me?
You're not
then-
here to ask for your money back.
No. And then this other one, this is the year before you guys, November 17th, 1988, you guys played at the Paramount with Jane's Addiction.
Oh, yes.
And Soundgarden.
And Soundgarden, yeah.
Yep. And I had sweet seats. I had great seats.
Where were you?
Like fourth row center. Fourth row center.
Wow.
Yep. Had the great seats for those.
That was kind of a weird, that was another one of those shows where it seems like we were kind of wedged in at the
Being added to the lineup
last
at
minute.
the.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
show?
Soundgarden and Jane's Addiction. I don't remember.
Was
I
that the
think
Paramount or was that here?
at the
That was at the Paramount.
And were you first?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were probably. Yeah, they went first. I assume Soundgarden went second.
Oh, because that was the Rising Star, right?
Rising Star
Oh, is
46.
that what it was?
Right. Yeah.
Jane's Addiction number 46.
I was telling whoever it was, doesn't even matter. Like the first time I ever heard Jane's Addiction was at Tower Records on the Ave, and they were playing the record. The guy who was working had the record on. I was like, I can't remember what metal band I thought it was, but I'm like, is that the Scorpions or something? Because it was like in the middle of one of Navarro's. Like, it's like, no, it's Jane's Addiction. They're playing right now at the Paramount for the. So it was that night that you guys were playing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, I guess I'm missing that show. That's just crazy. Like so it's so crazy to like you're gonna have to cut this out anyway. This just happens because like we spent so much time with MotherLoverBone Records. Like, and I was like that. Like Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns is one of my favorite compositions and performances. Like, bar none. Like, with Tom Sawyer and Fool in the Rain, and it's
Wow.
like it's one of those songs for me, and yeah, I don't have anything else to say about that other than it's like, so it takes sometimes it's like, I can ask you questions all day long, but sometimes I just want to like go, fuck, dude, you played on fucking that, and that really is I don't have anything else. It's just like it's really nice of you to come down here and talk to us about your experiences because they mean a lot to us.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. But I will ask you more questions.
That's fine.
Oh, yeah, go.
It's fun.
Yeah. So you guys do reciprocal. So the first batch of recordings you guys do isn't Shine.
Right.
You guys go into reciprocal and do a bunch of stuff that
Right. We had been, more than once. We went to reciprocal, yeah. Now I got it. I wonder who might have some kind of a. I hate to bring up calendars again, but. I don't know how many times we went to Reciprocal before we went to make that record. And we surely went there again later. Because I remember the development of some tunes there at Reciprocal that ended up on Apple. And somewhere in there after we had been to Reciprocal probably once or twice, there was soon we found ourselves with a demo deal with Geffen. Gave us some money that we spent at what I think was still then Lawson's before it became Bad Animals.
Right.
And recorded among other things the version of Stargazer, which I think went on to be the one that was used on records
On Apple?
later.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And so were those the Shine sessions, or was
No, that was before. That was when we were still. This was before record deal, before Polydor, and it started with Geffen, and Geffen gave us some money to go do some recording, and well, let's try this out. So
Right.
what you guys got?
But did Shine come out on a? Was that a release?
Oh yes, it was. And let me tell this story. I am so happy to have.
Because I've always been like
Finally, scarred by this I have been.
Okay, good. Because I didn't see Shine until after Apple came out and the whole thing was over.
Oh,
Before
really?
I ever saw Shine, I'm like, what the hell is this? So
No, it was
please.
it was before.
Right.
And if you look, I don't even know if I've ever looked so closely. It's somewhere in there. It makes reference to Stardog Records.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Now, you guys might know, even be more clear about the story of Guns N' Roses and Live Like a Suicide and Uzi Records.
Right.
Was that all not trumped up? The Uzi Records thing was really a fabrication of Geffen Records.
Unclear.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Fact check.
Damn it.
You were hoping we had that?
Yes. Because it's possible that I'm full of shit. But
So you're saying you think Uzi Suicide was a Geffen imprint?
was made up because
They wanted them to seem
for the
like
street cred, an indie.
for the indie band? Okay.
Yes, and this model was applied exactly to MotherLoveBone
By
by Polydor. Polygram. Is
Polydor?
Which
I think it was
I think it's
Polydor. Yeah.
I didn't know this until we're on tour, and Geoff and I are somewhere in New York sitting down for an interview. I'm pretty sure this is the moment I'm remembering when I learned through a question from the interviewer that this indie label, Stardog Records, was making this record Shine with MotherLoveBone, and Polydor came along, and they wanted the band so bad that they bought the label. They bought Stardog Records. This is the same bullshit.
Right.
Oh, need this street cred of an indie. Don't want to wreck it. The major label thing really turns people off.
Right.
So happy to put this on the record right now.
There was never a
Yes,
Stardog
irked me.
Records.
So, yeah,
There was
I was
never
just
a Star.
horrified. That
They
was-
just
Did they make it up entirely, or was that like a Geoff? Because it looks like Jeff's artwork, Stardog. And
probably was. Yeah. I mean, Geoff was doing.
Did Geoff know?
I don't know why. I don't remember us talking about that. So I don't know. Actually, if it would make more sense that somebody knew
Someone knew.
than that they didn't know.
Right.
I mean, because I
But
can
I
see you
didn't.
at the interview, And they're like, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. And you're like, really?
Yeah, what do I do? I just go, at that time, I just, this is how it works. It's just easier to go along with it. You don't know what kind of mess you're creating by contradicting.
Yeah. Smile and
something.
nod.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really, really liked us a lot.
Bought the whole label.
They just all that they've just bought it with like cash.
All 85
They just
cents worth.
Took out their cash here.
Right.
It was cool.
Yeah. So that came out. It was actually like, was it a national release? Was it like a real? It was a release release.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So Apple wasn't the first thing
It was
they
not
did.
the first thing.
See, I never knew that. Not until.
But it's possible now that.
Oh, but did it have Polydor's name on it, like under Stardog Records? Does it start? Because that little dog is on there with the collar, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
Totally remember. It's like a little bulldog logo.
yeah,
Right.
totally. And so, yeah, is it?
Now I don't. There are details I am not clear on anymore. Right about.
That's super interesting, though.
I remember the artwork being done up to look sort of subpar because so it would look indie, and it was. Now I don't remember what it was, but it came from an art department at the label, and when we first saw it, I do
like
remember.
shit.
Then what is
Yeah.
this? We would not even do that.
Well, you know what? They landed it because that's exactly how it comes across. But it looks like you guys put. I mean, but.
Well,
Knowing
it
that-
seems that what ended up being used wasn't. Now I don't remember that. I'm not clear about that. That it
Right.
was some kind of a compromise, or Geoff
Right.
worked with what they or if the now I don't even remember if maybe the cover that was Geoff did it. Well, I don't know.
It didn't look like a Geoff cover.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Geoff had his shit together.
Yeah.
Temple the Dog, that was him, right? Is that mostly him?
I don't know. Didn't really have anything to do with that.
I think that's just that's
Probably.
what I've cobbled
Most
together.
likely, yeah.
But it looked like
Look good.
it. Well, right. But the shine looked like someone trying to look independent or,
Not good.
less than. less than. Right.
Angle bracket.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Less
yeah.
than, yeah.
Hungry alligator.
No. Hungry crocodiles. Not hungry alligators.
No, yeah, that would have been a different band entirely. Okay, so because I don't even think it says Polydor on there. I think it just says Stardog Records, but I'm gonna have to go back and look at it now.
That would be interesting. Yeah,
I'll have to dig up
to see that
my.
now.
Yeah, okay.
Geoff stole my Shine poster.
So I've got on our.
He didn't have his own.
No, and he
not.
went in. Did you go and steal it out of my room?
I'm gonna say no because you can't prove otherwise. We used to be roommates, and he was the stage guy for the Hungry Crocodiles.
Right.
And at one point, he takes, I've got I've got a lot of flyers that I just collected, that I kept incredibly, that, through the trials and tribulations of your 20s and 30s and 40s. And one of my favorite posters was like this, a band that I was in, and we did a record release, and I had one of them. And he, while we were living together, takes it and uses it as a set list for the Hungry Crocodiles.
See, Greg, I was repurposing things.
Well, that's conservation.
Yeah,
I
so
appreciate
apparently
that.
Jeff feels obligated to take my MotherLoverBone Shine poster.
So it's like, dude, it's like one of, and so I took it. He's got an orange Shine MotherLoverBone poster that obviously came off somewhere because it's got a torn like.
And he wrecked it.
I didn't wreck it.
He tore the corner.
No, that was like, I think it was like that one. The
corner was torn where it was taped somewhere,
taped
and
or stapled.
you.
I had taken it off a pole.
Yeah.
Oh, you stole it.
I did. Well,
You mean
it's public domain.
I didn't steal it. I took it from him. But on the side, it took me a really long time to see. And on the side, very lightly, it says off ramp. Like as part of the artwork.
It's in the artwork.
Yeah. I'll take a picture of it. I'll send it to you.
Wow.
I need that back.
Not happening.
I mean,
That's cool. That makes me want one.
Well,
I was
do you have
going to
any
give
more?
it to you.
Do you have
No.
any more? Just get it from him. Yeah, it's a good one though. What are you gonna do? That's when we were like in our 20s though, and you could ruin each other's
Children.
shit. It was okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time. I just kind of.
Yeah. Okay, but you go. So, but again, it's this very, very sped up thing where it's like you do Shine. You do is that an EP or is that like a whole thing?
EP.
Yeah. So you do that for Polydor. That it
Yep.
was supposed to be for Polydor,
Yes.
and then you immediately go back. Do you tour on that? On the
Yes.
What?
And the last date of that tour was at the Oz. Steve has a ticket stub.
Oh,
that
that's
show
right. When
of
you guys
May of 89, you said.
89, you guys did the Oz, May 4th, 1989,
So it had to be very soon after
with
we
Alice
were,
in Chains.
Yeah, we were packing our bags to go to Sausalito to record Apple.
Right. So right after that, and so
The whole story of the whole MotherLoverBone saga was like that. It just bam, bam.
the hits kept
Things
coming.
it just kept happening.
What was that first tour like? Was that the first tour? The
That was the only tour. Yeah,
for Shine.
yeah, or that the band ever did.
Right. What was that tour like? What does it encompass?
It encompassed us driving straight to Boston.
You do love the 90, don't you?
So you just got on I-90 from Seattle to Boston.
And went
Was the
in
There's
first.
a road right over here that goes
Yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly. We went basically from end to end. I have seen all of I-90.
Right, you've seen all of I-90.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
We did stop. We saw the. Oh, good Lord!
Mount Rushmore.
The Badlands and yes, Rushmore.
Oh, Devil's Tower.
I don't remember the Devil's Tower. I just remember we stopped at some roadside viewpoint overlooking the Badlands, which just seemed
Yeah.
way down there and went way out there, like really bad.
Yeah.
It's like it isn't. I guess it notoriously is a place you don't want to get stuck
Right.
in without a
Right.
car.
Gas.
Car and water.
Shelter.
Right.
Yeah,
Cell phone.
and yes, we saw Rushmore
Yeah.
while we were there,
Yeah, that's a side
or
trip.
around there.
It's not right off the road there.
That's yeah. I was thinking that we did.
It's like,
We
what?
made
Yeah.
hey, sightseeing. What are you?
I
Gonna,
mean, did you like the world's largest ball of yarn, and did you do all those stops?
no. But
Come on, man, that's a cool.
I guess I
Roadside
now that you mentioned,
attraction.
I have heard of that, but I don't know where it is.
Dan, look it up.
Okay.
No,
All right.
I'm not looking it up.
Oh, he is there.
We are? Dan's here. Dan's still here. He's got a cardboard cutout, and periodically you're just.
It moves.
All right, I'm going to try to co-host.
So you drive
And
straight to
find this-
Boston. You can't talk while you're looking stuff up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the rule. So now I'm googling. So you drive straight to Boston, and
Yes.
and how long is this tour?
6 weeks.
Yeah.
6 weeks, and we went. So we went. It started in Boston. Boston, Rhode Island, maybe. Then we might have gone up to Montreal, Toronto, back down to New York,
Yeah.
down. I don't remember. There was a little bit of down, up, maybe, but in there was New York, Pittsburgh, D.C., Baltimore.
So mostly East Coast then.
I think Baltimore was as far, or D.C. was as far south as we went.
Oh, okay.
And then it cut over into, we played Rockford, Illinois, Milwaukee, Detroit, Minneapolis,
Back along the 90. That's
sort of,
a little
and then down through, probably out of that kind of Midwest 50 north stuff. Rockford was probably the last one because then we were on our way down. I remember driving through St. Louis, past the Arch, on our way to, must have been Dallas. Played Dallas. I don't remember that we played in Austin. Maybe, or if that might have been with another band. Then Phoenix. No, no, I'm not sure if I'm mixing up. Yeah, P's and Q's.
Yeah.
Definitely LA.
Right. Yeah, that whole bottom left side of the country can get kind of monotonous.
Yeah, I remember
gotta
playing
do
those
LA,
places,
right?
but may have all been with other bands.
Yeah. New Mexico, Arizona, Texas. It's all
Right.
It's all. I don't really remember.
Were those shows like slammed out, or were they?
No,
Were you guys like,
no.
Were they attended?
They were attended. I don't remember there being any that were, weirdly that classic empty hall.
right?
Were you headlining?
No, most of that we did with a band called Dogs D'Amour.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. So like small theaters? So like this size room?
Not even. No, clubs mostly.
Okay.
Clubs like 930 Club in DC.
That's good size though.
Yeah.
That's like Showbox?
I don't know. 930 is not that big, is it?
Seemed like it. It's deeper.
No, I'm not even really remembering.
But that was the whole tour was with them?
Pretty much. Last show was with them was San Francisco, and maybe we did some shows without them somewhere in there along the way. But we did certainly the first one in Boston, and the last one in San Francisco, and then with most of them in between.
Right.
Were with them.
Right. And so you come home and you're pretty much straight off to record.
I guess so, according to the
Esteban.
ticket stub.
Right. And so did you feel, was Shine like a major label recording session?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So Apple wasn't, there was just more, you'd already done that. It wasn't like this, you're...
Right. Then then the added aspect was we're traveling. We rented a couple of condos in Sausalito, and we were just holed up there for no other purpose than to be away from home and make a record.
Right.
Which I loved. The whole experience was in every way for me. The challenge of doing it. What happens to your playing when you focus like that? You get good. You find stuff that you didn't.
You're honing in.
Yeah. And then I was, I was done in like 5 days, and I took my bicycle down there with me. So,
Right.
Nice.
I did a lot of bicycle riding
Nice.
down around there.
Well, and so is it all in the click?
A lot of it, not all of it. And I kind of did. It didn't at that time. I got to a point where I didn't really care.
Right.
I was so comfortable with it that whatever. And there are tunes on there that were without it that I think you can't tell.
Yeah. And did you, when you're like, how did you, like live in a room? Were you guys all playing together?
Yeah, but Terry Date engineered it. Was real careful to isolate everything. Like the guitar amps were out and stuck in the hot tub, and
Right.
there wasn't water in it.
He's better than that.
Yeah, he knew better. He knew to get out the water.
Oh, I thought you would just put it like on a floaty. And then
No. No.
Okay,
'Cause you're
all right.
bound to have problems.
That's
Okay.
why Steve doesn't make records.
So he got out the water from the hot tub and put the
Rock.
the amps
Yeah.
in it to keep them away from the drums, and synced. I do recall that synced up two 24-track
Oh. Fancy.
tape machines. So it's a 48-track
Yeah.
recording, and there's one like 20-some tracks of dedicated to drums.
Drums. You're fucking welcome.
Jesus,
Yeah.
Turn it up,
it's a
baby.
lot of drums.
Give me
Which is
more.
maybe why the drums ended up so loud on the final mix.
Bummer, huh?
Honestly, for a long time I kind of didn't think I liked the mix that so much. And until I started doing a lot of recording myself, did I come to appreciate many things about the mix on that record.
If it's a solid track, you can turn it up as loud as you need to.
Yeah, that's part of what I realized, that the performances they're really good, and there's a lot to hang.
Yeah.
There's a lot there to hang everything else on, and that's probably how it ended up that way.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so. Yeah.
So,
And the hits keep on coming.
yeah, we were there for a while, and I rode my bike a lot, and I had an earthquake while we were there.
Oh, was that when you were there?
The big one, yeah.
The Northridge one.
Nah, the
Oh, the Bay Bridge one. The
what are they,
World Series
what
one?
is what was the World Series happening? It would have been
Yeah,
Was
Giants.
it October? No, not all the way into October. We weren't there, were we? When the what's the double decker
Yeah,
highway?
the
I think that section of the highway that collapsed in,
Yeah.
in Los
The
Angeles.
only other one. It's
No,
like
in San Francisco.
Oh, that was San
the one that was
Francisco.
just like the viaduct.
Yes.
It's like the only other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when everybody was like,
Right.
huh,
Yeah.
what if that happens here?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild. We were well into overdub time there, so most of us piled into Denny Swafford. He was a guy, still a dear friend of mine, who worked for the band, and he was down there with his Volkswagen bus, loaded us all up, except for I think Stone was maybe working that night. And went up the road to San Rafael to a record store. Big record store. Records, still had records at this time.
Yeah.
And, we were all scattered around the store doing our own thing. I was at the record rack pawing through records when suddenly, and it was like Tower Records used to be like this, just those long racks with seemed like 100 feet
Yeah.
was that kind of giant rack, and suddenly it just lunged, just whoosh, it just like laid over to the left and then stood back up, and I just looked like, see
Wow.
what large person just fell against the record rack, and next thing you know, the light fixtures were hanging from the ceiling on chains that, I don't know, they had to be 3 or so feet long, and the fixtures were swinging hard enough to be hitting the ceiling.
Wow.
And
Duck and cover.
yeah,
Yeah.
so weird. That was my first real earthquake, and talking to the rest of the guys about it later, just realize how what your mind will do when something like that happens and haven't experienced it before. You don't realize the one thing you have just fixed is that a lot of shit can happen in life, but one thing that doesn't happen is the ground doesn't move around.
Right.
Earth is stable.
And so when the ground actually moves, you initially just go
You make something
everywhere
up.
else
Yeah.
to explain, like in my case, whoa, clearly somebody really big just fell against. And in Andy's, this is why I bring this up, was he was thinking that, wow, this is some kind of ride or something.
It was a ride?
Yeah,
like an amusement park?
Yeah,
Like a roller coaster,
Yeah.
Tower Records.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, dude, who brought us here. This is amazing. Wow. Yeah, like anything but the earth is moving.
Mm-hmm.
The ground is unstable.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's more
Anything else to explain?
more
it.
realistic to you at that point than yeah, crazy. And then you guys, so you finish the record, you get home. Like, when do you get home?
We get home. I played No, maybe that was. Never mind. That was for Shine. No.
So you didn't ever get home.
No, we got home. I was just gonna say I played the Vibra Slap, and I didn't even know what that thing was called, let alone how to play it. But I was thinking that was for an overdub. That after we got back, we did a few little last minute fixes of
Ear candy
things. Yes.
You put a Vibra Slap
No,
post-production?
but the Vibra Slap was pretty sure. Isn't there a Vibra Slap right at the opening of Through Fade Away on Shine?
I'll be checking as soon as we get home.
Dan?
Which was always a song I really enjoyed playing. It was really fun to play. But
Yeah.
it's humorous.
Yeah.
I didn't know what this thing was. I wanted to. Similarly, at the end of that session, though we hadn't traveled, we were, at the end is when you're kind of, any other shit that anybody wants to throw on this pile
Bell
of
or
this thing
whistle
while we're,
that you want to add to the...
Right.
more cake decorations. And I want to play that thing.
What is it?
Firstly, yes. What do you call it? And how do you work it?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was Mark Durnley, the engineer.
Well, let me show you here,
Showed
kid.
me how to work a Vibra Slap.
Yeah.
And so we got all set up, and was going to put it on Through Fade Away. Yeah, I don't recall at all how the choice was made. This is the tune that needs that thing
Right here, this here.
that you're going to show me how to play.
Yeah.
But
For people at home who don't know, a Vibra Slap is the thing that was made famous in the opening bars of Crazy Train. It goes,
oh yeah,
Right.
That's a Vibra Slap.
I think,
That's right.
Didn't Aerosmith use it?
that's the
on
one I'm
something?
remembering that Aerosmith also used it in.
What song is that?
It's on Aerosmith's Greatest Hits.
Why wouldn't it be?
I'm
Sweet
thinking
Emotion.
that it's on something on Toys on the Attic.
Toys in the Attic. Okay. Dan?
Isn't it in there in the
You're gonna have to start looking your own things
Oh,
up.
man, Dan.
Sweet Emotion? Is it not?
Is it on
that
Sweet
not where it
Emotion?
is?
Yeah.
Probably. That would make sense. Their biggest hit ever.
Is that their biggest? Could be.
Fact check.
No.
Killer tune.
Yeah.
No?
Walk This Way has got to be their I'm assuming
Not
their
as cool,
biggest
though.
hit.
Actually,
But-
in my humble estimation.
No, I get it.
My favorite Aerosmith song doesn't even have Joe Perry on it.
Whoa!
What?
Sacrilege!
Stop.
What is this?
What's the, the
When
one
the
that he
lightning
left?
strikes or whatever.
That's the one.
First of all, that's a great song.
When the
Are we
lightning strikes?
sure that's not
It's not Joe Perry. He left the band. They had some other guy come in and
right? He did the Joe Perry project
As
or
always.
something for.
Yeah,
Fact
yeah.
check.
I don't.
I'm
I
almost
know that
certain.
by the title, I think I am familiar with that song, but
That
it's
track?
not in my
But when
head.
the lightning strikes.
Yeah, it's a good
good one.
song. It's a good Aerosmith
My
song.
favorite
That's not on Greatest Hits.
is Rock's Lift the Whole Record,
Yeah.
and in particular, what's that tune? Nobody's Fault? Or fault? Nobody or something fault? Nobody's.
I've spent an embarrassing little time going into Aerosmith.
I remember. Ironically, the first Aerosmith record I got was Aerosmith's Greatest Hits, and I'm like, whoa! And then I started just buying their records. I'm like, I have to get these records, and you know, In the Rut and Gems and, you know, on and yeah.
No shame.
Yeah.
No shame.
Can do.
But yeah, that record rocks in particular. Just the
I should buy that
and the
record.
sound of it.
Everything up until
Jack
you know,
Douglas. It's
Yeah.
it just sounds just big and
Yeah.
rock. It's a little bit just teetering.
Aptly named record.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So, anyways, everybody, that's what a vibe swap is.
yeah, fire.
Oh yes, back to the Vibra Slap. So I hadn't even finished my story.
Yeah, please do.
So yes, I'm set up with that microphone, and I have been taught how to play it. I'm sure I practiced it for a minute.
With a stick.
Yeah, where do you hit this thing?
Ow.
You guys didn't fly in a vibe swap guy?
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have it.
Yeah. No, he was able to make it happen.
I love it. It's me. But forget it.
Yeah, how many drummers are in this band?
Right.
So everyone else step
One.
the hell out. Yeah.
And so I played it at right there in the opening of the track, and then I stood and I listened, and I could see others in the control room anxiously watching, waiting. No, it only needed it right there in the
Just for
front.
once.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did.
Yeah. That was your work.
You could say I.
One take.
Yeah,
One and done.
for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, that's good. All right. But that was on Shine, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was mixing that up, I think, with like maybe adding tambourine or something to something after we came back with Apple.
Right. But some of the tracks, are they let's see, did some of those tracks end up on both records, or
yes,
versions? Same version?
Same, yeah, and not the like Apple as an album as it was that's very initially released didn't have any of that stuff on it, and it was its own record, and it was all recorded
In Sausalito?
down there. It's possible that there was.
I thought you said that one of those Capricorn Sister or whatever was the version that you did at Bad
No,
Animals.
see, Stargazer. But Stargazer was. Or was it? Is that what's making me think that there was one old thing that got
I thought you
added
said
on to
Apple.
to Apple, and not the Apple that was soon
The original one.
re-released,
Right,
repackaged
right.
thing after Andy died, and now there's not going to be any band to tour this thing, so let's
stack it.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so like you finished the record when?
I don't know how long we were down there. No, 6 weeks, couple
Right.
months, even maybe.
Yeah.
But it was basically
Before Christmas though?
done. Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And then there's the big lead up and then the
Right. We it was mixed in L.A. and there were changes to be made, and by then Tim Palmer who mixed it, had gone back to England or somewhere in the UK, wherever he was. So that took a little while, as I recall, to get it taped, to get it overseas and
Oh, he mixed it over there.
back. Yeah,
Yeah.
remixed it there.
And then what does the run up to the release look like?
There's a period in there where you've kind of done your job, and so now it's in the hands of
Right.
the machine, and you get some updates on what they're doing with your work.
Right.
And
but you don't go out on the road beforehand. You're just kind of waiting for it to come out before that's the next move is
right, starting to think about getting a tour together. In fact, the night that Andy went into the hospital, Geoff and I were out with our manager, Kelly Curtis. We'd gone out to dinner with a prospective tour manager. So we were hanging out, talking to this guy about being a touring band.
Did you go to 13 Coins?
No, that was beneath us.
Are you sure?
I don't like to say.
Did you guys have a meeting at 13 Coins after he died?
Oh, I see. You are testing something here. I don't recall a meeting at 13 Coins.
Okay.
But what do you know that I don't remember?
I was there. I was like, for some reason, reasons that shall not
you worked
be.
there and you waited on us?
I didn't.
I was totally waiting for Geoff to
And
say,
you
I brought you
guys
your,
were not nice.
I brought you your meat and cheese plate.
Tipped like shit, and the credit card said Polydor. No,
It said Star Dog credit
Star
card.
Records, you mean?
it said Star Dog Records. I'm like, that's not even a label.
That's
And
not
I
even
threw
a
it back
real-
in your face. No, for reasons that won't be named. I was there in the middle of the night, and coming out of the back room, and I'd met Geoff once before at Pain in the Grass, and I was walking by, and he looked up at me, and like everybody, when you see somebody and you're that young, you're about to give them the do nod or do something.
Yeah.
But the rest of the table was like not looking up, and we didn't exchange any words, just that brief little, and then that was the Monday after St. Patrick's Day, and then the next day I found out that he had died.
And that's something vaguely familiar about that. Was the whole band there?
Yeah, it seemed like there was a whole band and an older guy, which I just later assumed it was
Kelly.
But I've never run into. I mean, I've run into you, but I just that's just not something you ask in a 5-minute catch up at the Lava Lounge.
Right.
It's like, hey, remember? Yeah. But I've always yeah. But it'd be better if you remembered it, make the story better.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I'm sorry.
It's really not on you. But if Geoff doesn't remember it, he's in trouble. Not really. And that's just does that come to a screeching halt? I mean,
Yeah.
e-brake.
Yeah. I had been the last to quit my job anyway during all that time.
Smart guy.
And I may have been the first one to go back to it.
Right.
Yeah. As I recall, pretty much right away, it just, that's it.
Yeah.
Was that the conversation? Like, this is the worst possible thing imaginable, and now we just move on.
That's right. At in the kitchen at Bruce's house, above the Darn Good Grocery, there was maybe our last.
On 40th?
Yes.
That's where Bruce lived?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not where it is now. It
Darn
was.
Good used to be somewhere else?
Yeah, but it was just further down the hill.
Oh. Okay. Didn't know that.
I don't remember the cross street.
Yeah.
Yes, and that might have been the last meeting, the final word, and it was, I guess, that's where we dealt with the question of, well, what are we going to do? And I was advocating for, let's get another singer. Let's go. And I think I might have been the loudest voice for that, and Stone, as I recall, was the most clear voice. And thankfully, really, we didn't try. It just would have been goofy.
Right.
It would
Right.
It would have just been
I hear
sad.
ya.
We could not have resurrected something. Yeah.
Not with that guy.
Yeah, there's no way you could replace that personality.
I was just say,
the only way to have done it really was to do sort of what Geoff and Stone did was just
Pivot. Yeah. And now, was there ever talk like is there ever talk with you being involved in what's going to happen after that, or did that kind of organically happen elsewhere?
Yeah, we all just kind of scattered.
Right.
And I think, Geoff and Stone had long been
A unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Stone just was kind of still going and writing and intended to do what he was doing, and
Yeah.
it was natural for him and Geoff to hook up.
Yeah.
And somewhere in there, I split on another long trip. So that's kind of
Yeah.
was pretty organic.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah. And what a great record you guys made, though.
Yeah,
like you just
thanks. I'm
can't-
still proud of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And am I remembering that right? That wasn't that on singles? Like
Something
or was it
something was on singles. Yeah.
I think
Crown of Thorns?
I think it was that's the first time I heard them together. And I couldn't understand why it hadn't been like that on Apple.
Yeah, man, I'm going to have to go back and listen now to
I'll have to
what
check on that.
pieces ended up where.
Again, because I just gonna say one more time, one of the greatest tracks of a generation. Those two songs together are like one of the best natural double shots, right up there with like Heartbreaker and Living Loving made. That's like
Wow.
Chloe Dancer
Thank you.
on
is
Apple.
track number 6 on the single soundtrack.
And does it not have Crown of Thorns?
Let's see here. So right now I have Alice in Chains' Wood. I have Chris Cornell doing Seasons. Battle of Evermore by the Lovemongers. Breathe by Pearl Jam. Dyslexic Heart, Paul Westberg. Chloe Dancer. MotherLoverBone, number 6. I'm clicking.
How long is does it have the minutes on there?
Oh, and then
Chloe Dancer?
here's the rest of it. It has Birth Ritual by Soundgarden. State of Love and Trust by
We don't
Pearl
care
Jam.
about all those other moronic
Okay,
tracks.
Mudhoney.
All those other tracks are dumb.
Okay, so I'm going to click.
Oh wait, now none of those guys are going to be on. I've done shot myself in the foot. How long is
this
The
podcast?
thoughts and expressions on this podcast are not necessarily shared with
By anyone.
by anyone other than the moron saying them? What? How long is the Chloe Dancer? Does it say?
I'm trying.
How many minutes?
Well, here's the singles. Here's the video for. It is. I am clicking the wrong thing because it says only 15 seconds. Oh, skip
By the way,
ad.
Steve, be careful what you say because
Yeah,
we're on like Facebook and YouTube and all that.
Thanks for wrecking that, you guys.
we'll post production that
Well,
in.
thanks for having our whole show canceled.
Well,
We got to start over now, Steve. Dude, it's been 2.5 hours.
I didn't.
Nice, good one.
I'll tell you how long it's been. That's my.
Oh yeah, he has it.
No, I'm discombobulated today.
Okay, try
I'm
though. Try
completely
real quick.
on this one only.
Yes, just this one.
2:10. Way off.
Wow.
I told you. I didn't want to do it.
Does he have a superpower? Or is it
I
to
do.
Do you
I
have
have
mind?
like a time. I'm like really honed in on time, and until today, I was 3-0 or 4-0 or whatever it was.
Within like a minute.
Within a
Yeah.
seconds.
Of what the recorder was saying.
like how long it
of
would
what the
go.
digital,
Yeah.
right? So
what
but
how
today
far
we
off
were a
was
little.
He was 30 minutes off.
Are we in at
See what
240?
happens.
We are at 2:46.
See what happens when catering fucks up.
Yeah.
There was catering. I'm not joking today. There's this catering thing. It was rough. And all of a sudden, I'm off by a half hour.
And
there's this leap, or it's
and we had to spring forward.
Oh,
So
it's
his,
actually,
his mechanism is all wonky
everyone's
right now.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now
That
by
could
next
account for
week, I'll be
a
good.
lot.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
All right. Well, I think we have wasted
that-
enough
I
of
was
your
just
time.
getting going.
Oh,
I mean,
all right.
really.
Okay. Well,
No, you can
we
keep
got 2
going.
more hours. And it's up to you.
I would like to
I'm
really.
not, as my friends will tell you, I'm not much of a talker.
So we're just getting you warmed up this much and like cutting it. It's like it's the worst case. No, never talking again.
Is Denny still local?
He's in Portland.
Okay. All right. We were friends for years, and then we kind of just grew apart, and it was before cell phones and email and on and on. And
Yeah, he's still in Portland and doing. He was out of Cavity Search Records for a time, I think.
okay,
And he's back in, and now it's kind of his.
that's his thing.
Is that
Okay.
Denny from Running with Scissors?
No,
No.
Denny Swafford.
Your guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great guy, dear friend, still.
And you're in touch.
Yeah, very,
Yeah,
really nice guy. Positive energy, always. Yeah.
yeah.
Excellent. Well, honestly, like you want to, I'll keep asking you questions for all night.
I could keep going.
We could keep going.
Yeah. All right.
I would like to say that
Yeah.
when I first met Greg, I was oblivious to all of this history.
Yeah.
Like all of this history. I had known the MotherLoverBone stuff, but prior to that, completely oblivious. Like you were, go ahead, I'm sorry.
How did you come into the? I remember you working with the Hungry
I
Crocodiles.
had started working with the Hungry Crocodiles, and you were roommates with Richard T. White and Kim.
Yes.
And I would have to come over there and take care of, whatever for the band.
Right.
Right, until the band fired Richard, and then, Yep.
But then what were you doing? Where were you working? Seems that you were. I just remember you being involved.
So I worked
in
with the Hungry
stuff.
Crocodiles. They were on the club circuit. We were trying hard, and then I started just working bigger local productions, and then it just turned into the festivals, and then some light travel, and it was hard for me to like stay committed to those guys, and then make a real buck, if you will. Yeah. So we just kind of had to
Get real.
Yeah.
So then you got involved in more bigger, like national.
Yeah, I started working for promoters, in a variety of different, anything from runner to like rigging lights to, anything I could get my hands on. Yeah. And I couldn't stay on the club circuit. They never, we opened for everybody, we did 3 or 4, we went out on little mini, we would do 4 shows for you guys, or we would do 4 shows for Alice in Chains, but we never, did a few fly dates, but we could never, we could just never get out of that. And I was just getting to the point where I was starting to make real money, honest money, and I just had to I got to break free from, that we're still I'm on great terms with all of those guys to this day. Yeah, it was just, it was time for me to kind of, spread my wings a little, if you will.
You're still in touch with Stuart?
It's been a little bit. Yeah. It's been a little bit since I've spoke with Stuart, but yeah, I want to. I'll reach out to him. I should.
He's on Facebook.
He's on Facebook. Really?
He's listened to one of our.
Is he? He's on the Facebook.
Commented on some stuff.
Did he?
Oh, yeah.
In a good way?
Oh, he was really mad at you.
He was always mad at me.
Kind of not into it.
He was
really.
always mad at me.
No, I think actually, I don't know if it was on Facebook or not, but I've gone back and forth with him a few times because he's like out in the middle of nowhere doing super artistic stuff like always, and I'll be like, "What are you doing? You're doing what?" And he's like, "Ha ha ha."
Yeah.
I remember when he started to just get
spread his wings.
Yeah, definitely just get out of the. He was done writing singles or trying to write hits or done trying to
slapping and popping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a completely unforeseen left turn he did into the doom.
The doom thing, yes.
Like
and
that there was
and Burning Witch and just all that.
I didn't even know that was a thing, and he was immediately monstrous in it.
I think he was part of making it a thing.
The inception?
I kind of came to realize after I played with him for a bit, 10-ish years ago.
In that?
Yeah. And that was kind of my introduction to that whole world, and in the process realized that he was instrumental, no pun intended, in kind of establishing that as a thing. I think that's the way I came to understand what was happening there.
He was definitely the first person I ever knew who was doing it. I just didn't, but it seemed like almost immediately there was a venue, there was a market for it, like a niche. Like it seemed like the niche already was there.
Just waiting for somebody to develop the thing to put in it.
I guess,
Is he in, he's in Sun? Is that correct? He's okay. He's in, okay.
Oh, you know what I want you to tell this story about. You just recorded Apple, and you're hanging out with what's that other band that was kind of famous around here? They were going to do another. Apple was going to come out before.
Alice in Chains.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And you had some run-ins with them.
I almost played on the first record.
Right.
That kind of run-in.
The facelift record.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did that go down? How did that transpire?
Their recording was scheduled, set up. Dave Jordan was coming to town to do it. So game on. Once the machine is running like that, it just doesn't stop.
It's booked.
And Sean injured himself somehow, messed up a hand, and couldn't play. So I ended up getting the gig, and we started to rehearse some in a place over in Ballard's building where MotherLoverBone had.
Oh, right up by the Tin Hat up there?
Yes.
On 65th or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that that matters. We were rehearsing, and I was learning their tunes, and it was tough for everybody. They, that thing. Young group of guys makes a band, and they've only now been playing with each other for years, doing the thing that they have evolved and developed between them, and in that process, kind of you're not even aware of it really, but a language evolves, and specifically in the context of songs, there are things that are happening that you all just know because you've just kind of grown to play it like that, and namely feel stuff, it pushes here, it pulls there, and this is how you get that cool thing to happen.
Right.
And now you introduce a foreigner who's just, hey guys, what's happening? How does this one go?
Right. Play with the intro.
Here, I'll count to 4, and then we all, right? And so it was tough in that way. Like it just wasn't. I mean, we were gonna do it. It was gonna get there somehow, but going through that process of me trying to fit in and them trying to get used to me and
you fitting in,
trying to make it happen as much as possible the way that did for them.
So Sean was going to recover, his hand was going to heal. And then,
well, you only can tell the future like that now because it's in the past.
Okay, got it.
But the studio, the label had booked the studio, booked the producer, and the machine doesn't wait for anybody.
It was just happening.
Right.
So
they're like,
understood.
Screw you, Sean.
That's why we're going to get another guy. We got to get another.
Yeah.
Later was not an A&R guy, not somebody related to the actual production of the record directly, but an observer. remind me to come back to that point of the
Okay.
comment made
Yeah.
by this guy.
Yeah.
So we struggled for a while in our rehearsal space. You know, we got it to some point, I guess. I mean, I knew.
And how long do you have to work before?
It wasn't. I don't recall that it was long.
Right.
You know, some
Right.
couple of weeks, maybe.
Right.
Then we moved. Jordan has come to town. We move in. They were going to record at London Bridge, so we just moved into London Bridge to start doing some pre-production there with Jordan. And it's the same, you know. I mean, it's kind of we're playing the tunes, and well, you know, there it is.
Mostly there.
Yeah. And I was, you know, everybody's feeling. It was not. I was aware also. Yeah, Jesus, this is. And poor. That's. I mean, the Sean. This is the worst aspect of the whole thing.
Right.
Here's a guy sitting on the sidelines. Here's his band. They're about to make their first record.
Right.
thing you worked all
Entirely
your life
capable
for.
fella.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's watching some other dude just
Hump his girl.
trying to hobble through this.
Right.
And we had not been set up and working with Dave long at London Bridge like I might have been in the first day or maybe as the second day. But there was a moment where Sean says, I'm going to give it a try. And I'm so blessed to have seen this moment. He sat down to play, and the whole thing just fucking exploded. It was amazing. This pent-up frustration among all of them,
Right.
and him being able to play for the first time in, I don't know, some
Couple of
3
months or
weeks
something.
whatever.
Okay, month.
Yeah.
Just
Big.
bam. Yeah, and it was, okay,
Massive exhale.
there you go.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
your bands and there's your record.
You're welcome. I bid you adieu.
Yes. Carry on.
Yeah.
And so he worked it out and was able to play, and
Right.
thankfully for the whole world.
Right. That's crazy. All right, I think that's a perfect place to end.
All right.
All right, you know what, Dan, I think finally this has been Seattle Today.
This is Lobster de la Hoya, here to annoy you. If you ever been to the Paramount Moore or Neptune Theaters in Seattle, Washington, you know just how special they are. I'm asking you to save your stages by donating at stgpresents.org/donate.